Hopefully with Michael Doherty, they'll add one other. They've also got a number of players, I think, up forward who have got an opportunity. Ben Marsh, in particular, I think, is a player that at the crossroads of his career, he's a big talent, but he could certainly go on and be a Spider Everett if he knuckles down and gets the job done. But he's still got to put the score on the board.
And the key players for the Demons this afternoon, probably their midfielders, where Woden, Lee and Shelley, McDonald, all have to have big afternoons.
I think every Melbourne player that's got experience is going to have almost their best outing if they're going to be competitive. But their midfield is up against a crack midfield, and they're going to be looking for just good performances from lots of kids.
So almost set to go here. We'll head boundary side. Tiffany Cherry, Rod Jamieson will head down to them very shortly. We're all set for the opening bounce. It's Football Park in Adelaide. Adelaide versus Melbourne. Round 3 of the Wizard Cup as White goes up and wins the tap. Rashudo gets the opening possession of the game towards half forward. Whelan in front of Bode. Paddles it along in front of himself. Bode now works himself into the contest. Did well. By hand. Release Doughty. The kick will go inside 50 for the first time this afternoon. Chance here for Biglands, but at the back, reading it the better was Chris Lamb to relieve for the Demons.
He had the ominous task last week of looking after Jonathan Brown. Didn't do too bad a job. This time he chips out the ball. It's not a good kick, and he spotted out Doughty. So a dream start for this youngster who's caught the eye of Jared Healy in recent weeks.
I think he's a real player of the future, this kid. He's tough, he runs hard, and he's got terrific skills. But Chris Lamb, well, it was an indifferent start. He did well getting possession. He's played just 5 games in 3 years. And he's just going to have to put that poor kick out of his mind, get on with the job. He's got an opportunity to impress. And whilst the first minute wasn't his best, he's got plenty to come.
Doughty lines up from about 45 metres out, and it looks like he's put that one through for a minor score. Had the breeze behind him as we go down to the boundary.
Yes, a very undermanned Melbourne side, but an opportunity for a lot of the younger players to stand up. In fact, 15 of the players are 21 years and under. On the bench for the D's, Nicholson, Molan, Clark, Brown, Godfrey and Jamar. Rod Nicholson.
And Tiffany, yeah, the windy conditions today, so it's going to be difficult to score to the southern end of Football Park. Look out for Nathan Bock when he gets an opportunity. In the interchange, Andrew Crow, Ben Nelson, Scott Welsh, Ben Marsh and Nathan Bock.
So Tiffany Cherry and Rod Jamieson boundary side. Melbourne have worked it towards half forward. It's Russell Robertson. Long kick inside 50. Numbers there with the Crows. At the back of the pack to clean up, it's McLeod. Pressure comes from Brad Green. Nigel Smart content to hack it out of mid-air. Takes it outside 50. Doughty again, been busy the youngster early. Onto his right boot, goes around the outer wing. But it's Melbourne judging it the better. And an opportunity for them to come forward again through the youngster there in Jamar. He goes short. And Woden, the skipper for the Demons this afternoon, will bring it inboard. Melbourne with numbers on centre wing. It's Whelan. Will go inside 50. Adelaide back in numbers. Burton underneath it. Holds his ground and takes a courageous mark.
Well, there's no doubt about that. He can certainly mark a football. Played on with a quick handball. Went back to Matthew Clark. They now have to concede ground. And Burton has kicked back inside the attacking 50 for the D's. And he's found McLeod. McLeod drops out a short pass. He finds Mark Stevens. First game back. He came runner-up in the Best and Ferris Award for the Crows last year. Not a bad-looking kick. But front position, Andrew Leoncelli there. Goes laterally across the ground and finds Brad Green. We mentioned before he's played 41 games now for the D's. Has a touch of class about him and expect big things this year as Broadbridge puts the ball out wide to Jeff White. Nearly got it on the first bounce. He needs some support. There's none there. Chips out a short pass and he finds Armstrong. This youngster looks very impressive. He did last week against Brisbane. The mark wasn't taken. Bassett is back there. Picked up by Walsh. Well, he's down from defence. He puts a wobbly kick forward and Armstrong's underneath it again. Well, he kicked 2 goals last week in his debut. Picked up about 11 possessions. He was number 25 in the 2001 National Draft, and he's on a pretty tough angle.
He's a very talented kid, and you could just see the way he approached the footy that he's got skills. He was equal winner of the Lark medal. They don't give those away.
Well, he's opened up the face of goal. Has he put it through? I don't think so. So scores are locked away at 1 point apiece. Nearly 4 minutes gone in this first term of the Wizard Cup, round 3.
Pretty famous number 2 at the Melbourne Footy Club. And you've got to be a pretty good player if they're to bestow that honour upon you.
So scores level in the early going. Melbourne with most of the attacking. 3 inside 50s to 1. Hart, thumping kick towards the centre of Football Park. Chance here for the Demons. They work it from Jolly. Comes to Lee and Shelley. He goes short and finds Travis Johnson 45 metres out directly in front.
Well, that's what you've got to try and do from kick-ins. If you can just punch the ball in, as you saw Jeff White do, you're a chance to be able to get it into the hands of a player like Travis Johnson that's got away from his usual tag.
So Johnston, 36-17 in his senior career with the Demons. Had a horror run with injuries from 48 metres out. Kick on its way. It's dropping right to the goal line. Bit of a breeze towards that southern end by the looks. And it's off the hands of the pack and through for a rush behind. Well,
that was a goal for the entirety of its journey, that football, but it just seemed to hit a brick wall right in the last metre or so.
Nathan Bassett brings the ball back into play, looking for Nigel Smart, the veteran. Still shows a good turn of speed. Wobbly kick forward. Underneath it was Clark, who was fisted away by White. The loose ball's been picked up, though, as Adelaide go forward through Rashuto. Mark Stevens, well tackled by Brad Green. And the umpire blows the whistle, and we'll have a bounce down on that outer side at the 5.5-minute mark of this first term. Adelaide needing a victory to advance to the semi-finals for the first time in 7 years. The ball at ground level, picked up by Johnstone again, puts it up towards centre half forward. Russell Robertson is there. He gave Ben Hart the slip, has the luxury of a bounce just inside 50. The kick was misdirected, and the mark's been taken by Bassett on the last line of defence, and he has good support on the outer side.
So it's Stevens to take it around the outer wing. Goes short with the kick. And there's Doty again. His 5th possession, he's been busy. Over the top to the run of Smart. The kick towards half forward. Out on the lead there, a chance for Rutten. Bounces off his hands. And the Demon defender's content to take it to the line.
He's got good reps, Kim, young Ben Rutten.
He's very good indeed, and it's good to see him start onto the field as well. He's a promising youngster, 192 centimetres and 86 kilos. And he was captain of South Australians under-18 side.
So a throw in inside 50. It comes to Broadbridge for the Demons. His kick partly smothered. Chance here for Whelan to run onto it. Boat puts pressure on him. Ball spills to ground. McLeod comes through. Bruce is in there as well. And he's taken high. So a free kick to Cameron Bruce. Half-back for the Demons. Has a couple of men in space. One of them's Woe Woden, and he uses him now. Woe Woden straight up the middle of the ground. Chance for White. The Demons have got an open forward line from 55. The kick comes out wide. It's a beautiful kick. And the mark there taken by Brad Miller, who's presenting himself early, Jared.
He is, and that was a good piece of play by the Demons. They came through the middle of the ground. They found Jeff White, and that's when he's at his most dangerous. It's some dangerous signs here for the Crows. This isn't going to be a one-sided affair, and if you turn up to any match, no matter how depleted the opposition with the wrong mental framework or frame of mind, then you're going to create some problems. And the Demons look as if they're just going to run into space and deliver the ball.
So Peter Walsh has snuck forward. Kicks into the man on the mark, though. Disappointing for him, but he goes again. Good second effort from Walsh. Tries to keep it alive. But in the end, the pressure's too much. He sprays it out to the right-hand side. And Adelaide are off the hook there.
The third effort just letting him down there, Jared.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. He's a real tough nut, this kid, and he's a good player. Just got a little bit close to the man on the mark.
So the ball brought back into play, and Bickley goes to the outer side. Nice looking kick. Found Mark Stevens, already finding a little bit of it in his first game for 2002. Kicks out towards half forward, looking for Rutten. He couldn't take it. Broadbridge, the former Port Adelaide boy, could. Gets it over the top to McDonald. Wobbly kick forward. In there working hard is the youngster, and that is David Robbins. Wobbly kick. Clark was clever then just to get it back towards Tyson Edwards, and he's a pretty cool customer as he lifts the eyes and puts it out looking for Doughty, but it was too high for that player, and Broadbridge came over the top and takes another mark. Well, when you consider that they're kicking into a pretty stiff breeze, this is not a good start for Adelaide at the 8.5-minute mark.
No, I think Melbourne has settled well. They've come here with nothing to lose, and some of their younger players know a good performance here. They may make the opening round, and I'm sure Neil Danaher has given them that promise.
Broadbridge found Whelan, who in turn found Johnston. Now the ball's taken by Armstrong. Unprotected goal. It's wobbling through, but Ben Hart, he reads the play well. Does a quick U-turn and drops out a short pass, and it goes to the former captain in Mark Bickley.
So Bickley in the back pocket for Adelaide. Inside 57-1 in favour of the Demons at the moment, doing all the attacking but not able to put it on the scoreboard. Comes to Bode. Draws Green towards him and then sweeps the handball wide. Chance here for Adelaide through Goodwin. Brings it round the members' wing. Biglands leads his man to the ball. Handball, in fact, it was Rutten. Gives it to Burton. Burton towards 50, but the kick advantage weakly, and he took the mark fairly easily ahead of Benke there. And he will switch play towards the outer side of the ground. Paul Wheatley lopes towards the outer side and then kicks in space, puts it out in front of Lamb. Will it sit for him? Gathers it just inside the boundary line. Goes backward by hand to McDonald. So the Demons just looking to build from half back. Inboard now and finds Whelan. Plenty of loose men around the ground at the moment for Melbourne. One of them's Brad Green. He's got it on the outer wing. Towards half forward, Jeff White's his target. The kick was beautifully weighted. Stevens just came across at the last moment to create some pressure, and numbers now with Adelaide. It's Stengline. Handball partly smothered by Armstrong and the ball goes out. But Gerard, as we've mentioned, good signs through the midfield for Melbourne. They're picking out targets.
They are. Their delivery's been pretty good, except for the final one. They haven't been able to find the young kid, Brad Miller, up there in the forward line. I think he's leading well, but a number of players, I think, just trying to kick the long bomb, and they've just got to get that extra possession.
Armstrong's been very good for the D's. 3 possessions and a number of smothers as Bickley gets the handball out to Kane Johnson. Maybe this time for Adelaide. The look-away handball from Nigel Smart, but a brilliant smother by Johnston off the boot of Rashudo. Quick turnaround. Melbourne an opportunity now. Russell Robertson's the target, being harassed by Hart. He'll go for the boundary line, and he achieves that result.
Well, that was one of the best smothers we've seen this season, and I think the penny's dropped for Travis Johnson. He does look as if he is set to have his finest season. We know that he was a star when the Demons made the grand final a couple of seasons ago, but since then it's been all downhill. He's been injured, but he looks to have his head together and his body together, importantly.
Bassett got the kick out of defence. It was a long one. Bruce took the mark, but it wasn't allowed by the umpire as Burton now takes the free kick and gets it over to Rashudo. This time it's not smothered off the boot, but he puts it inside 50. Wheatley with a big spoil from behind comes down to Rutten. Whoa, brute strength by the youngster. Now a sweeping handball out to Kane Johnson. He's a dead-eye dig normally, but not today. Another minor score. And the scores are locked away at 2 points apiece at the 11-minute mark here in the first term.
Well, that was one of the best don't argues of all time. Ben Rutten, he saw his opposition player come and he just put him down on the ground. That's just exciting stuff if you're a Crow supporter. The kid's on the rookie list. And, well, if he continues to just show that sort of physical exuberance, no doubt he's got a long future.
Problems with the kick in again there for Melbourne. This time it's gone straight to Mark Bickley.
Now, Jason, you are the guru of stats. Can I suggest that Mark Bickley has the worst conversion rate for the Adelaide Crows and possibly the AFL?
Well, his career stats, 67 goals, 81. He kicked 2 goals, 5 last year. He'll be hoping to slot one through this afternoon. On its way from 48 metres out. Kick on its way. He'll make a lower of you every time. Opening goal to Mark Bickley.
Monaro is back. Game over.
So the ball back in the middle now at the 13-minute mark of the first term after the former skipper banged one through and White won the tap. It was a good one looking for Leoncelli. Gets it on the second opportunity. Mongrel punt inside 50. Smart on the second grab. Not good enough according to the umpire as Stengline mops up with a little pass on the outer side. And he's found Kane Johnson. Just measures the kick and Burton takes the mark on the chest. An exciting player, Brett Burton, known as the Birdman. Puts it out looking for the run of Rashudo. Couldn't keep it in play. And we'll have a throw in on that outer side. 13-minute mark. Adelaide 1-2, leading Melbourne 2 points. The Crows kicking with a 2 to 3 goal breeze, which is favouring the northern end left of screen. Ball thrown in about 60 metres out. Down at ground level. Kane Johnson did well to tap it forward. Likewise, Bickley with a little toe poke, but it's been picked up by Cameron Press. He'll have to be quick. He wasn't. That's holding the ball. And gee, every player, Gerard, likes to have a sixth sense, but you certainly need one when Andrew McLeod is lurking.
There is no finer chaser or tackler in the game, and I suspect there's never been a better chaser in the history of the game than Andrew McLeod. I've seen him just do some unbelievable things. One time in Ireland, when he was representing Australia, he ran the length of the field and picked up a pretty swift Irishman and dragged him down. It was the most inspirational tackle I've ever seen in my whole career. That probably doesn't rank with them, but it was a darn good one anyway.
Yeah, played a little bit of rugby league as a youngster. He lines up from about 30 metres out directly in front, and Adelaide have their second on the board. They move along to 2-2-14. Melbourne 2 points.
Every year, the Adelaide 500 roars into town. But what happens behind the scenes of the event that has twice won the Avesco Trophy for the Australian Motorsport Event of the Year? Find out more at the WorkCover Industry Series Business Luncheon, the business of motorsport. Special guests are Brad Jones, former Australian touring car champion, Howard Marsden, president of motor racing at Ford, and Tony Cochrane, chairman of Avesco. It's at the Hyatt Regency on Wednesday, 13th of March. Phone 8362 0900 for bookings.
Handy 12-point buffer. Adelaide's way. They've gone inside 54 occasions for 4 scoring shots. Melbourne have been inside 9 times for just 2 scoring shots. So we see the potency of the 2 forward lines. And speaking of potency, here's McLeod. Burst from the centre again. Put it out in front of Binky. Couldn't quite get there. Melbourne a chance to mop up. There's Bruce. Little handball out towards Whelan. He takes it to the outer side and finds Anthony McDonald in space. Steps around his man. Did it quite well. Bought himself some time. Has a couple of bounces. Assesses his options up the ground. Then puts it out in front of Leoncelli. The cop one in the back said the umpire will take the free kick. So Andrew Leoncelli coming in for his 4th possession this afternoon. One of Melbourne's prime movers, and they'll need him to have a big game. He goes short back to Whelan, who's been busy early. Takes it into the centre, finds Jolly. On the overlap it comes to Cameron Bruce. Spears the kick inside 50. Robertson's a target, just floated over his head. At ground level, working hard there is Brown. Farms it out for the Demons. Too hot though for Robertson. Brown goes again and drags Stevens down in the tackle. Creates the turnover. It comes to Wheatley from Green. He spears it towards the pocket. Bassett got a well-timed fist in there. Comes out towards Stengline. And the Crows should clear through Goodwin.
They do, and they find a teammate in Kane Johnson, who uses a sweeping handball, but not a good one for Tyson Edwards. They had the numbers, though. The ball goes back over the top. Back to Kane Johnson. Always has plenty of time. Now to the skipper, Mark Rasciuto. Big left-handed handball to Goodwin. Normally likes to kick long. This time he gives it to Matthew Bode. They're working their way inside 50, and they've done it. And the mark's now been taken by the youngster in Ben Rutten. And he's a fairly composed type of lad.
Well, he looks pretty good. So does Matthew Bode. He has had a very impressive Wizard Cup. Excellent up in Brisbane. In fact, I thought he was very close to best on the ground for the Crows, and he looks as if he's continuing that good form today.
Benny Rutten, captain of the South Australian under-18 side, lines up from about 48 metres. Looks like he's happy with it. He's banged it through. Adelaide had their 3rd.
That makes Viking the chocolate bar with Horn.
So Adelaide starting to take control here at Football Park. They lead by 18 points. We've gone almost 18 minutes in this opening term. Jolly in the ruck for Melbourne. Not an effective tap, but it came out to Woden nonetheless. Tumbles one towards half forward. Robertson goes off the ground. Gains some distance for his side. It's heading for the boundary line and finds it in the right forward pocket.
Interesting reversal of roles for Cameron Bruce. He's following Brett Burton around. Burton is now deep in the forward line. And Cameron Bruce, who we could have quite easily expected to start in Melbourne's goal square, is now playing as a key defender.
So Cameron Bruce finished 9th in the best and fairest. Did spend some time in defence late in 2001. Very versatile player. Great tap from White. Down to Walsh, who kicks for goal and gets Melbourne's first. Brilliant ruck work from the big fella. So Melbourne on the board through Peter Walsh. A badly needed goal, Jared, and some reward for some hard work up the ground.
Oh, look, he's as I said, he's a pretty fair player, this kid. And it's 1 goal all now because his direct opponent, as you see there on screen, is Andrew McLeod. McLeod got the goal at the other end of the ground when he tackled Cameron Bruce, but that was a fine piece of ruck work. And he has exploited Andrew McLeod's want to just be a ball watcher, which is fair enough because he generally gets it.
So leading stat getters for both sides. Burton, Bickley, Stevens, Johnson all have 5 possessions for Adelaide. Matthew Whelan 5 for the Demons.
And Matthew Clark to do the ruck work against Jeff White. White won the tap, went straight down to Bode, smothered off his boot. Leoncelli manages to squeeze one out just inside 50. Armstrong tapped it forward. That was good play. Now the handball comes out to the run of Brown, and he lines it up. And I think he's put that one through. Nathan Brown's kicked his first, so the D's are back in business.
Our bank home loan costs us $750 per month, so we refinance with Assured Home Loans.
Yeah, but we're still paying $750 a month. But I got my big screen TV for no extra per month.
My home loan cost me $600 per month, so I refinanced with Assured Home Loans, and I'm still paying $600 per month. Yes! But I got this, and this.
I refinanced with Assured and got my April table for no extra. Refinance with Assured now, and we'll give you your savings up front to go shopping with.
Adelaide 3-2, Melbourne 2-2. See what they can do out of the centre this time. The Crows from Clark down to McLeod was clever. Towards half forward, a half volley for Edwards. Gathered by Travis Johnson. Ugly looking right foot kick, partly cut off by McLeod. Edwards to Goodwin, just chips it over the top. Man in space again, it's Bode. To Prosciutto. Tries to get around Jolly, does so, then kicks long towards full forward. Chance for Adelaide, 2 men back. In fact, it clears the pack and bounces through for a goal.
That was touched. See, I think it was, Jared. I thought it was definitely punched over the line.
That was clearly touched, I think. We'll wait for the replay. Umpires don't get that opportunity, of course, but have a look for the Melbourne player. And he reckons he's touched it. It was no question it was inside. Probably wasn't completely conclusive there. Let's have a look if this one is. Yeah, changes direction.
Wheatley.
That was touched. That was a shocking decision from the umpire.
Yeah, and that was Paul Wheatley. Gee, the umpire was in the right position too. So the ball back centre field, 21-minute mark of the first term. A lucky goal to Adelaide. They move along to 4-2-26. The D's 2-2-14. The advantage now 2 straight kicks. And up high, Jolly won that one easily. Comes down towards Doughty. Tried to crash his way through, couldn't do so. Gee, I'd like to see that again, Jared. That's almost inexcusable from where the umpire was. It looked pretty obvious from here, and we're only about 250 metres away.
Yeah, well, you could see it change direction in flight, and that's always the obvious giveaway. I thought it might have been just even less than that, but the umpire should have picked that up.
Lucky goal to Adelaide, picked up by Armstrong. Quick handball goes out towards McDonald. They need a quick reply, and Green has it on the outer half forward flank. Now White wants it in long. He's resting at full forward at the moment. Mark Stevens has picked up that player, and the ball goes in that direction. Fisted away there by Burton. It was a good leap. It came down towards Bode. Cameron Bruce there. Bode at ground level. Bassett stood firmly. Now uses a little bit of creativity to get through the traffic and got it over to Benny Hart, and he clears to the outer wing.
Put it out in front of Johnson. Collected the mark. Was it inside the boundary? The umpire said yes. Mark stands. So Kane Johnson just backward to centre wing on the outer side. Goes inboard and finds Matthew Clark. Clark goes for a run, then kicks long towards half forward. Numbers with the Demons. Benke will fly from behind. Jolly up in front. Paid the mark and will relieve the pressure for the Demons. So Darren Jolly's been in the thick of the action early. His third possession coming up. Been doing the ruck work at the centre bounces for the Demons. Brings it wide. Melbourne in space through Johnston. He's been busy as well. 6 touch for Travis Johnston. Started the game in fine fashion. Chip over the top to Woden. Pressure late from Bode, but he completes the mark. So Shane Woden, stand-in skipper this afternoon. Coming up for his 5th touch. Squares it back towards Jolly. And they want to switch play to the outer side of the ground. The kick towards Wheatley. He's got 3 to beat out there. Let's hope it sits for him. It doesn't. There's Burton. Burton sweeps a handball over the top to Benke. Benke has a bounce. He's had 2. Wheatley making the chase. He's had 3. Will Wheatley get him?
Good chase. Great
pressure there from Wheatley. Caused the turnover. Saved a goal. Great play, Paul Wheatley. The kick turned over to Jolly. Now Melbourne could counter-attack down the members' wing.
McDonald thought about the handball, thought about it again. Now decides to give it to Woden, the 2000 Brownlow medalist, and executes the ball nicely to find Johnstone. Only about 60 seconds remaining in this first term, and I reckon the D's would be pretty pleased with the situation. They trail by 12 points. They'll try and keep possession here. Oh, they've made the big fella work in Jolly. He did well. He committed himself. The ball bounced through to Walsh. Walsh now kicks long inside 50. Front position, or Bassett was the destroyer. Ball comes down to Green. Quick handball back to Armstrong. Over the top to Cameron Bruce. He's a sharpshooter. He's on the right boot, and he's pushed it across the face of goal. And it's gone out of bounds on the full.
Good pressure, though, from Brett Burton. And I reckon Darren Jolly right now will be just sighing with relief, because he kicked that ball almost to Andrew McLeod, who, unfortunately for him, slipped over.
So dying moments of this first term. Kane Johnson accepts the handball from Bode. Goes towards the wing. It's Adelaide by 2 goals. Goodwin. Pressure from behind comes from Lee and Shelley. Rutten at the back. Won the ball. Kept it alive to Doughty. The kick will go towards the 50. Coming across was Whelan. He was interfered with in the marking contest and will take the free kick. As the siren sounds for quarter time. Entertaining opening here at Football Park in round 3 of the Wizard Cup. Adelaide 4-2-26. Melbourne 2-2-14. So the Demons fought back after Adelaide took the early ascendancy. Melbourne wasteful early, Jared Healy. Adelaide slammed on a couple of quick ones and Melbourne just steadied.
They did. It was a good performance by the Demons. They looked as if they could have been blown out of the water, but to be going in just 12 points down is a fair effort.
So quarter time, it's the Crows by 12 points.
The English vegetarian wrecking our multi-million-dollar roux industry.
You be quiet.
The battle to save Skippy. Also, the new advertising trick aimed at kids.
I might be doing it to you right now.
60 Minutes, tonight.
I was actually on the first plane that went in. You know, to go into another country that's been ravaged by war and devastation, it was definitely a life-changing experience. I had a team of 30 soldiers. Basically, it was my job to take control, make sure that the soldiers and the locals were safe. Undoubtedly, all my officer training really came to the forefront. You know, I didn't really think about it at the time, but it was a pretty full-on job for a 23-year-old.
With ABS, power steering, CD player, air conditioning, and at only $29,700, there's one car everyone will be lining up for.
Members get more out of statewide super.
I chose statewide because I didn't want my super up in the air. I wanted extra special performance, managed by people who know what's going on in the world. I had a choice of fund options and chose the ones just right for me. I like my super, like my customers like my pizzas. Speciale.
Statewide Superannuation Trust, your key to super you can trust.
You spend 18 months doing officer training at RMC Duntroon. When you graduate, you take charge of your own team of soldiers. And when I did that, it's probably one of the best moments of my life.
Analyze this.
You don't hear the word no very often, do you?
I hear it all the time, only small like, no, please, no, no.
Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal in the comedy premiere that inspired The Sopranos. Analyze this, 8:30 tonight on 9.
The Wizard Home Loans Cup, brought to you by Holden and Mitre 10.
Quarter time here at Football Park in round 3 of the Wizard Cup, and things going according to plan for Adelaide. They lead 4-2-26. Melbourne 2-2-14, the home side by 12 points. All single goal kickers in this game. McLeod, Bickley, Rasciuto and Rutten for Adelaide, who looks a good prospect. For the Demons, Brown and Peter Walsh. Jared Healy, how'd you see that first quarter?
Well, I thought it was quite simply, Melbourne just didn't make the most of their opportunities. They worked particularly hard getting the ball into their forward line, but they haven't got a couple of their key forwards, as we know, in Swartz and Neitz, and they'd be pretty pleased with the result. Lots of good young kids getting a hit out here against some of the biggest names in footy. And there's one of them, Andrew McLeod, dragging down Cameron Bruce to set up a goal. Bruce, of course, is used to playing at the other end of the ground, and he's going to have to be a little bit more aware of what's around him. But Melbourne fought back, and I think they did so just by dominating the centre clearances late in the second half. Here's one of them that results in a good goal by Nathan Brown converting.
So plenty of promise there.
Controversial goal, this one, Jason. Big bomb. You can always say kick one from just outside the square, but it got a little bit of a helping hand. It's tapped over, but he got the 6 points. Looking at the figures of the match, the most obvious one there is the inside 50s. It just shows how hard Melbourne worked getting the ball in there 14 times. A little bit inefficiently, because Adelaide went forward just 8 times and kicked twice as many goals as the Demons.
Leading stat getters for both sides. Johnston has 7 for the Demons. McDonald and Woden 6 for Adelaide. Kane Johnson 7. Burton, Rashudo and Bode 6. Let's head boundary side. Rod Jamieson.
Yes, Adelaide's slow start then at the moment. We're just waiting for Mark Micken. Slow start. Ben Rutten started pretty well, though, I thought. Certainly Matty Clark and Mark Stevens are going to have a tough day up against Jeff White and Darren Jolly, but they'll be looking for Adelaide to improve with a couple of fundamental errors. Just on the centre bounce situation, Rod, how do you see it? Yeah, look, it seems to me that they're both actually getting over the top of Matty Clark at the moment. He's a better tap ruckman than he is. I thought Andrew McLeod probably got 2 centre clearances quite easily in the end, but Travis Johnson looks as if he's doing extremely well and creating a bit of havoc for the on-ballers for Adelaide. Rod, have you ever seen a more inspirational chaser and tackler than Andrew McLeod? Look, he's really sharp, Jared. I mean, just his pace, the way he can actually hold onto the footy where most players just can't have that time and ability to settle down and then find it, whereas he can actually do it and pull away from a player and have a bounce, which is demoralising if you're the opposition player. Right, as a ruck rover, I used to depend on ruckmen for a living. They let you down occasionally, like one today. Nevertheless, we'll catch up with Mark Micken later in the program, I'm sure.
So second quarter action here at Football Park. Adelaide by 2 goals. Here's Kim Dillon.
And White up high again, got the tap. It was smothered off the boot of Woden. In there working hard at ground level is Walsh. He does that all day. Leoncelli throws it onto the right boot, up towards centre half forward, front position. The mark paid to Tyson Stenglein. Feeds off quickly to Goodwin. They have the loose player now, and that comes in the form of Matthew Clark, the 97 best and fairest winner for Brisbane. Rashudo a little indecisive then. Managed to get it back over to Stevens, who in turn gave it to Smart, and his kick was woeful. It goes straight out towards Brad Green, who nearly lost his head, and the umpire, did he see that? He didn't. It looked high to me. Play on's the call. Now comes back to Tyson Edwards. Tries to centre the ball looking for Rutten. He fell over. Ball comes to ground level. Kane Johnson over to Binky. Has he put it through? He has. Gee, they made hard work of that, and I think they may have had a little bit of luck, but Brian Binky kicks his first goal of the game, and they've done it into the breeze.
Yeah, it was hard work, as you said. Lots of possessions to get it across the line, but it also came about because of tough tackling, and that's what the game's all about in the forward line. You need your forwards to be putting pressure on. Smart hands there from Kane Johnson, who's had a big start to the match, getting plenty of possessions, and he set up Brian Binky for his first.
And I take that back, Jared. I reckon that tackle by Binky was okay.
Yep.
Just clipped him round the top of the biceps. So Adelaide open up an 18-point break here at Football Park, 5-2 to 2-2. Back in the middle of the ground. Clark goes again for Adelaide, but sharked by Leoncelli. Partly smothered. Comes to McDonald. Towards half forward. Diving forward to take the mark is Russell Robertson. Probably too far out to score. So Robertson not looking to give it off at this stage, Jared.
No, he's got the wind behind him, and he's set the large spinnaker, and he's probably going to give this one a fly and see if he can just get it across. But what the Demons are doing, they're just trying to open it up, get some space. But here he goes, Robertson. Can he kick it and create a record?
So he's put it out to the right-hand side, going for distance. It spills off the hands of the contest. Stevens there for Adelaide. Thought about taking it inside, then decided to switch it wide. It's a 2-on-1 in favour of the Crows. Green brings it to ground and keeps it inside the forward area for Melbourne.
Well, what he did do, Jared, was allow Matthew Clark time to get back and apply that spoil. So it's a fairly ineffective passage of play.
Yeah, in the end, they did clear the space. Cameron Bruce charged up on a lead, but it wasn't on it.
White the tap. Chance here for Melbourne. Paddled on the ground towards Armstrong. Deep in the pocket. Squaring kick to the top of the goal square. Miller there for Melbourne, the only real chance for the Demons. It spills to ground level. Johnston picks it up. Snap at goal is touched off the boot.
Got it right this time.
Through from behind. So the Demons edge closer. They move to 2-3-15. Adelaide 5-2-32. The margin 17 points. We've gone 3 minutes in the second term.
Ben Hart brings it back into play. Found Johnson. Uses the run of Goodwin. Nice looking kick. Executed beautifully to find Burton on the outer side. He plays on quickly, just a short kick. Was it 15? Doesn't matter, as Doughty's played on anyway. Had a blistering first couple of minutes to the game. Puts it up looking for Rutten. Ball came to ground, picked up there by Mark Stevens. He's drifted down into the forward line. Welsh having a run on the ball now after sitting the first term on the bench. Picked up by Broadbridge. High, ugly kick underneath at Robertson. If anyone could have taken it, it would have been him. But Stenglein gets it over towards Smart. Now he puts it back inside 50. Big leap there by Burton. Ball comes to ground level, and clearing it nicely is McDonald. Good turn of speed. Now he needs some support. It comes in the form of Brown, who kicked the goal in the first term, and in the end it ends up with Russell Robertson, who chips it over the top to Woden.
So Woden in space, goes for a run. Tries to pick out a target inside 50. It is Miller, and he hits him on the chest. A good diving mark, made good ground to get to that one, Jared.
Yeah, as we know, he's tall and he's athletic, and he's going to take some time to develop. He's still a pretty lanky sort of young kid, but he's got the frame, and if he can add a fair bit more muscle to that and a bit of experience, he could be a damaging player. Russell Robinson, a new opponent for this quarter. Tyson Stenglein has picked him up. He started with Ben Hart.
So second possession for Brad Miller. Kicked a goal last week for the Demons. He's tugged that one to the left off the boot, and that misses the lot.
One of the great traps, when you get the wind behind you, you start trying to kick the ball well and truly outside the 50. We've had two shots now on screen from the Demons. Both of them have been outside the forward 50. Those sorts of kicks have just got to go to the top of the square and just play the percentages.
So Mark Stevens goes short and finds McLeod. Defensive 30 for the Crows. Just holding it up, waiting for the right option to present itself.
Miller looks to be in a little bit of trouble with his right hand. It looks like the medical crew are running out to see him now.
Tiffany Cherry boundary side. As the mark's taken by Bruce for the Demons. He squares it up. The mark there taken by Green.
Looks like you're spot on there, Tiffany. We'll come down to you very shortly for an update, but he's in some trouble, the big bloke.
So Green spears towards the 50, and here's Robertson. Been busy in the second term. As we see Brad Miller come off, wants to move it quickly to the top of the square, but the numbers there with Adelaide. It floats over the back of the contest and goes through for a behind of the Demons. They move to 2-4-16. Adelaide 5-2-32. Let's head down to Tiff on the boundary.
Yeah, the medical crew have just ducked him in there, having a look at him. Can't actually see exactly what's going on in him, but I'll get back to you in a moment.
Yeah, it looks like it happened when he took that diving mark. Did well for a big man. The ball now back with Simon Goodwin. Plays on with a handball. The run provided by Bassett. Likewise, Benny Hart. What a player he's been for the Adelaide Crows over the years. Three-time All-Australian. Kicks it long. Bode pushed out of it far too easily there, and legally, by Matthew Whelan. So Whelan on the members' wing. We've had 6 minutes of the second term. 32 plays 16. And Melbourne are quitting themselves quite nicely here. They went into this game as the rank underdogs. Short pass, a good one, finds Leoncelli. And didn't this man break the hearts of Adelaide supporters in round 2 with a late goal last year? Puts it inside. Matthew Clark takes a mark at the front of the pack. Back play's been pretty good in this second term. Puts it out laterally to the outer side, and he's found the run of Kane Johnson. Johnson now kicks long. The ball goes out to Binky, desperate to get a touch. He's nearly down on the half-back flank. Quick look away handball from Wheatley. Found his teammate in Brown. That was clever, evasive work. Buys a little bit of space. Has a bounce. They need someone to take a grab. Hart was the destroyer from behind. Clark at ground level. Let's see how the big fella travels here. Bruce was too clever. Got the handball away. They haven't got the numbers, though. Bassett crashes through. Just got away to Bickley. Now Bickley has the runner a shooter, and Adelaide should set something up.
So the Crows look dangerous on the counter-attack towards half-forward. Burton got one hand to it, but couldn't control it. The ball goes out for a throw-in.
Well, here we have the replay as we see. That may well be a shoulder injury to the young man, Brad Miller.
I think you're right, Jared. They've just applied ice to that area now.
So from the ruck contest, Jolly slaps it forward for Melbourne. There's Bickley working hard for the Crows at ground level. Chance for Melbourne to keep it in through McDonald. He's wrapped up by Tyson Edwards, and we'll have yet another throw-in.
I reckon it may well be the famous AC joiner. You saw him there just bury the shoulder in the ground, and that's where they've got the ice applied, which is bad luck because he did show a little bit of promise there in the early part of this match.
And Jared, as the physio, that could be up to, what, 6 weeks?
Oh, up to, but I guess the way he came off, somewhere between 0 and 6, but probably a couple.
So Bode takes it inside 50 for Adelaide. They lead by 16 points. We've gone 8 minutes in this second term as the umpire comes in to ball it up. So Adelaide 5-2-32. The Demons are 2-4-16. You see Brad Miller down there receiving attention for what Dr. Healy has described as possibly an AC joint. We'll get some more information on that as the game develops. Funky was there for Melbourne. Chance here for Johnston. Put his body on the line. Players crashing in from both sides here. Bit of a scrappy contest.
Rod Jamieson is on the boundary line. He would have been a teammate of Ben Hart's for a number of years. And I noticed that he's chasing Travis Johnson around with a midfield role at this stage, Rod. An unusual spot for him.
Yes, Jared, at times they have started Benny Hart on the wing, but an unusual one, normally playing most of his foot in the back line. But looks as if he's changing with Tyson Stenglein on the half-back flank on Russell Robinson.
Well, Mark Rasciuto just got the handball over to Kane Johnson. In turn, it went over the top to Scotty Welsh, and he's kicked the goal.
Just once, I want these guys at Subway to talk to me about something besides food. Hey, Scott!
Hey, Jim.
You know that girl at the pet store?
The redhead?
She's asking about you.
The one who feeds the lizards and the turtles?
Yeah, you got something you want me to tell her?
Yeah, tell her that right now, Subway has great seafood tastes. Like the delicious Subway seafood and crab sandwich and the tasty tuna sandwich. Both with delicious toppings, all on fresh baked bread. They're two great tastes from the sea.
Scott, you don't get out very much, do you?
Subway, eat fresh!
So danger signs here for the Demons. They trail now by 22 points. We've gone 9.5 minutes in this second term. In the ruck contest, where Woden had it and lost it. Edwards piles in on top of him. He's going nowhere, and the umpire comes in for a ball up.
Jason, almost identical to the start of the first quarter, where Melbourne had so many entries into the forward 50, couldn't kick a goal, and the Crows, as they did in this quarter, go forward with their first chance and nail it.
14-8 inside 50s. In favour of the Demons, so they have had plenty of the football up forward. Here's Clark for Adelaide, takes it away from the centre contest. Well played, kicks towards half forward. Chance here for the Crows coming out. Very good mark by Binky, kept his eyes on the football. And he has it right on 50 for Adelaide. So Brian Benke, just his second possession for the afternoon. 12 goals, 8 last season for the Crows, for a career total of 32 goals, 21. Have to kick this into a pretty strong breeze from outside the 50. Massive players grouping in the goal square, anticipating this one's going to drop short. So here's Benke. Fairly short run up, gets close to the man on the mark. Kick on its way, it's drifting across the face, just almost came back. The pack fists it forward, heads towards the boundary line, and Chris Lamb happy to take it over for the Demons. He's always going to take an exceptional kick from that position, Jared, into that breeze.
Yeah, tough one, no doubt about that.
And the throw in will be Rutten up against Jolly, two youngsters. Edwards fell to ground. It's picked up by Walsh for the Demons. Just farms a handball out in hope. Bode tracks back for Adelaide. Flicks it towards Rasciuto. He dishes off to Goodwin. On the right boot, the kick was short, but it was accurate. And the mark's taken by Scotty Welsh, 45 metres out directly in front.
Looks like a rookie young Mark J.M.R. Ruckman is about to get his first run.
Thank you, Tiffany. Down on the boundary. The ball's with Scott Welsh. And the margin at the moment is 22 points in favour of Adelaide, Jared. We've gone 11.5 minutes in this second term. This would be a very, very handy goal into the breeze.
Yeah, and it's another one that is going to be to challenge Scott Welsh, but he's a very fine converter of opportunities. Big season coming up for him, hopefully.
Kick on its way from Welsh. A groan around the ground suggests he's missed to the left-hand side, which he has. Through for one behind, so an opportunity goes begging there for Adelaide. Nonetheless, they extend their lead. They're out to 6-3-39. Melbourne at 2-4-16. The margin 23 points. We've gone 12 minutes in this second term at Football Park.
And Travis Johnston to bring the ball back into play. Already had 7 possessions. And we mentioned before, he's in for a big season. Had a lot of injury last year. Only played a handful of games. He's run himself into a little bit of trouble here. Had to go back across. Good pressure from Welsh, but he spotted up a teammate. And they'll go forward now through young David Robbins. Robbins puts the ball up there looking for and finding Armstrong. Geez, impressive, this lad. He looks like a ready-made league footballer.
He does. He's very balanced. Amazing how many times when a midfielder takes the kick out, he kicks it to himself.
Oh, that's not a good kick, and the mark taken in defence there by Goodwin. Goodwin in turn uses the support of Stevens. Big handball over the top, finds Bickley. Lifts the eyes, just chips it up high. Binky's there, so too Rutten. Punched away from that player. Picked up by Matthew Bode. Over towards Rasciuto. Well, he was taken out, but it didn't hurt him. McDonald had a crack. Now it goes back to Johnson. Welsh underneath. He's given them a target already. Tries to paddle the ball forward, flicks it back towards the boundary line. And I think eventually, was that a throw? It was. A little flick between the legs, and the umpire saw it. And Burton will be the recipient of the free kick.
I thought Scotty Welsh was a bit stiff there not to get a free kick for the push out. And there's the little flick. Picked up well by Kim Dillon.
Cameron Bruce not happy. He'd taken possession, and the ball has been centred, and the mark's been taken by Benke. And this time he's a lot closer and more or less directly in front. Brian Benke came to the Adelaide Crows via North Melbourne, via Port Adelaide in the SANFL, and he's had about 3 seasons now, and he would really be looking for a big year. Thought he stood up well at the first start of last season and then got dropped and just could not force his way back into the lineup. But this time he'll have a shot from 40 metres out, and no mistake that time.
This news break is brought to you by Bank SA Home Loans.
Coming up at 6, Australia's Mark Webber has finished 5th in his first Formula One Grand Prix. The race got off to a spectacular start when 9 cars were involved in a pile-up on the first corner. Michael Schumacher managed to avoid the carnage. He went on to win in his Ferrari. We'll have all the highlights for you shortly. Also tonight, 2 men have been charged with attempted murder after a bashing at Elizabeth. And the Queen and Prince Philip have met the people of Brisbane on the last day of their 5-day visit to Australia. We'll see you soon.
I enjoy a very busy life, and luckily I also enjoy good health. This bracelet can identify me in case of an emergency, whether I'm travelling overseas or interstate. Medical Alert is the only medical identification and information system that offers 24-hour service, and it's endorsed by the Australian Medical Association. It's recognised worldwide. Join Medical Alert. This is the bracelet that really counts when you need it, with backup service and support from Australian medical and health professionals.
So Adelaide by 29 points, 14.5 minutes gone in this second term. Back in the middle, Jamar into the ruck for Melbourne, but it's Adelaide who go forward through Stevens. Kick towards half forward. Chance here for Benke. At ground level is Lamb. Little handball comes out and it's picked up by Walsh. Comes around the wing, looking for Green. It'll sit for him just inside the boundary line. He's got some space. Dowdy in pursuit, but Green's had 3 bounces. Runs to 60 metres out, goes towards the goal square. Chance here for the Demons. It's punched away there well by Bassett for Adelaide. And in the end, the defence is happy to run it through for 1 behind. We saw young Luke Molan there in best position, but good defence from the Adelaide.
I'll tell you what, the Melbourne runners are certainly earning their money. With such a young side, the messages are certainly coming fast and furious down here.
So Adelaide to bring it back in. It comes to McLeod. They lead by 28 points, 15.5 gone. McLeod had to get a hurried handball to Bassett. He played volleyball, slapped it to ground, but Melbourne are a chance to make them pay. Johnston to Liam Shelley on the left boot. He's got an open goal, but he's missed to the right-hand side. Through for 1 behind to the Demons. And the margin comes back to 27 points. 7-3 to 2-6 in favour of the home side.
Ben Hart this time opts for the members' side. Put it out towards Mark Stevens. It was fisted away from that player. McDonald is there. Leon Shelley at ground level. Squeezed out a handball. Intercepted by McLeod. Oh, good vision. Quick little chip pass over towards Matthew Clark. He uses the run provided by Goodwin. He likes to kick long. Binky underneath it. But that's a great grab taken there. And that looks like Wheatley. Wheatley does well. Still inside the defensive 50, though, with a short pass to Woden. Puts it out wide. It'll be a race for pace, and it's 2 against 1. Leoncelli is there. Burton as well. And well, I think Melbourne will be happy with that result.
No, they wouldn't. That should have been on the full, surely. Did they come off his boot?
I thought it went off his hands, Jared.
We'll have another look at it at some stage. A questionable kick from Shane Woden. As we take a look here.
Slapped clear by Lee and Shelley to the boundary line.
Spot on, Kim.
Okay, the ball back towards Armstrong. Well, good work to Green, but he was dispossessed. Stengline picks it up over towards Doughty. He's in trouble. Well, you'll never see someone caught more holding the ball than that example there.
That was electrifying, wasn't it? He's been impressive, this kid, as has Melbourne's attack and desperation. They just haven't been able to finish their good work off when they go forward. But that was electrifying.
Well, he's played 2 years of senior football in the waffle, and geez, just made the next step look very easy. The ball goes forward now out to Jeffrey White, too far out to score. He kicks from about 65. McLeod should chop it off. Stood his ground. That took some courage. The ball kicked mid-air, and Clark doing very well in defence. The handball goes over to Hart. Now to Bickley. Measures the kick. Out looking for Doughty, but it wasn't a good one. And Armstrong just gives Doughty one as they go over the line.
Well, there's been a number of big clashes today. One in Melbourne and that one in Adelaide.
So a throw in on the members' wing. 27 points the margin. We've got 18 minutes in this second term. Favouring Adelaide. Rasciuto emerges from the ruck contest. Kick around the body towards half forward. Bode versus Whelan. Whelan kept his eyes on the ball and won it. The kick wasn't great though. Straight to Smart. Can Adelaide make them pay on the rebound? There's Rasciuto. He's followed up. Will kick towards 50. Rutten's his target. He hits him right on the chest. Beautifully weighted kick from Mark Rasciuto. And Ben Rutten, who was spoken about a number of times this afternoon as a good prospect, off the hands of Burton. It spills to the back. Benke tries to keep it alive, but can't do so. They'll have a throw in right alongside the behind post for Adelaide.
And good signs for the Crows. Their skipper in Mark Rasciuto, who struggled with a groin injury for a lot of the year last season. He's running very freely. He's having a blinder today. And he's very few more dangerous players than when he's prowling.
15 possessions to Rasciuto. Edwards from the ruck contest from Burton. Got up high, tapped it to Edwards. Hurried right foot snap was true. And Adelaide extend their lead.
The City of Tea Tree Gully presents the Civic Park Spectacular, Sunday 10th of March at Civic Park, Modbury. During the day, shop at free market stalls. See Humphrey Bear. There's free face painting and more. Then dance the night away with Adelaide's premier party bands, including Lunch Cutters, Clearway, Entity, and featuring Scandalous, with a sensational fireworks finale. The Civic Park Spectacular is proudly supported by Sferras on the Park, Homestead Homes, and Channel 9.
And Tyson Edwards hasn't missed a game in the past 2 seasons. He's a very underrated player. And you mentioned before, Jared, Mark Rasciuto, he's had 14 disposals now. Kane Johnson, 13, and they're starting to dominate.
Yeah, they're two great players. Kane Johnson, of course, has missed a fair bit of recent footy with injury. Mark Rasciuto just a bit debilitated last year. But the Crows midfield, I mean, that's what's going to get it into the finals, the Crow. They've got to come up with a couple of forwards to take advantage of an outstanding midfield group.
And Rasciuto just picked up possession number 15 with a handball. It goes out towards Bode. That was clever. Tapped it back towards Doughty. Puts it up towards half forward. Underneath it, using his body well, is the young fella in Lamb. But it was stolen by McLeod. He's a crowd favourite. Picked up by Burton. Was he leg? Not according to the umpire. Now Bruce over the top. Good weighted handball out towards Walsh. Travis Johnston may have got in the way of his teammate. The ball at ground level. It's a 50-50 ball, but the umpire will have to bounce it just inside 50.
Well, Woden's just come off, and young Clark has just run on.
Bounce down at the 20.5-minute mark. About 3.5 minutes remaining in this second term. Young Mark Jamar got the tap away down towards Johnstone. Kicked around his body. Picked up by Edwards. Kicked the last goal for the Crows. Puts it up looking for Burton. Will he get there? He couldn't. Gets it on the first or second bounce. They'll have to go back onto the right. Does so. Good vision. And he's found Benny Rutten.
Smart play from Brett Burton. We know that he's a great aerialist, and let's hope he can turn another one on for us today. I'm sure he would have been inspired by the challenge set earlier in the day by Ralph Schumacher, who flew high. Didn't quite take the grab, but just there he showed that he's pretty adept on the ground as well.
Rutten has kicked one. Recruited from West Adelaide in the SANFL. As we mentioned, captain the South Australian under-18s, and he's dragged that one across his body. So he has 1-1, and Adelaide move along to 8-4. The D's 2-6, with only a couple of minutes remaining.
So 34 points the margin. 21.5 minutes gone in this second term. And as we've mentioned, Adelaide's midfield really getting on top in this second term, and the Demons just being outgunned. Inside 50 total, starting to even itself up. Melbourne still lead at 23-19, but it's been 11-8 in favour of Adelaide in this quarter. The Demons want to bring it towards the members' side. It's a 2-on-1 contest. Bruce needs to get his hands on it for Melbourne. He does. Handball to Travis Johnson, but he was under pressure. Did he throw it? Play on's the call. Comes to Michael Clark for the Demons. He gives it to Green, and Green to White. Not sure where to go. He goes backwards to Green. Has to get round onto his right boot. Tries to kick it round the body. It's over the head of Smart, but Adelaide should pick this off through Bassett. Comes to Edwards. He's got numbers in support. One of them's Hart round the boundary line. Keeps it alive. Great vision. Got it to Doubt. He didn't quite sit for him. Here comes Johnson. Bickley to Clark. Numbers on in the middle of the ground. One of them's Bode. Steps around Armstrong. Adelaide building. That was ambitious. Over the top from Goodwin. Slapped it forward to Rutten. He's still got men on inside 50. If he sees them, he does. And the chip goes forward to Johnson. Plays on to Bode. To McLeod. Great team play from Adelaide. But McLeod misses from 20 metres out directly in front, Jared.
Well, unusual that he missed. Even more unusual he didn't handball it over the top.
Do you mean that?
Yes, I do. I mean, he's a very... he rarely misses an opportunity to bring another player into the game, but this was an exciting build-up. This is what can happen, though, when a side is starting to completely dominate.
Matthew Bode coming into the game now, 12 possessions. There's the pass, finds Michael Clark. He's had 2 years on the senior list at Melbourne. Played one Ansett Cup game in 2001, so he'll be looking to improve on that in season 2002. 8-5 plays 2-6. Adelaide have played well into the breeze after only managing a 12-point advantage in the first term. They go laterally there across the ground, and that was Chris Lamb. Goes back towards Broadbridge. Broadbridge in turn to Johnston. He's been impressive. Like to see him stay fit for the entire season. In towards Walsh. Dropped what he should have taken. The ball paddled forward. He's a great second effort player, Peter Walsh. And he redeemed himself there. And the ball will stay in the area. Very underrated player. One of the most committed, Jared, I'd say, in the AFL.
Yeah, he's shown over the last few years that he's prepared to get in and do the hard work, and he's building a fine career.
So half-time here at Football Park. Adelaide have got 2 quarters standing between them and the semi-finals of the Wizard Cup for 2002. They lead 8-5-53 to Melbourne 2-6-18. The margin 35 points at half-time after the Crows led at quarter-time by 12 points. And Jared, they seem to be doing it pretty comfortably and getting better as the game goes on.
Yeah, they've just about broken the resistance from the Demons, but the Demons have just hung in there enough, and they're going to, if they can come out and kick half a dozen goals or so between now and the end of the match, I think they'd be pretty well served. But the story of the day is the midfield of the Crows. Rashudo dominating. McLeod, he's just doing what McLeod does best, and that is entertain us all. Goodwin having a nice, a pretty fair game. Kane Johnson also getting plenty of the footy. Lots to think about for Neil Danaher and the Crows. Well, they'll be going in at half-time, preparing for what should be a great Friday night semi-final.
So half-time here at Football Park. Adelaide 8-5, lead Melbourne 2-6 by 35 points.
Dragged it out of the pack, and a high tackle there against Rashudo.
Don't argue.
He's not going to take it off him, is he? Just going to tell him to settle down a little bit. Simon Godfrey wanted it back. And have a look at Rashudo. Nearly lost his head there, courtesy of that tackle. Now Goodwin takes the mark again, goes back towards Kane Johnson. Or Bode fell over, then took a slips catch. He's a crowd favourite already, and he's coming up for possession number 13. Wants to go short, does that, and it's a beautiful kick, and Welsh takes an easy mark, and he just gives them an option up forward, Jared, doesn't he? He spent the first quarter on the bench.
Yeah, I like Scotty Walsh. I think he's a very good player. Knows when to lead. Generally, he converts well, although we put the Moz on him in the second quarter, and we did that successfully. But that's a pretty easy lead, and Matthew Whelan just needs to be careful. That could well have been a 50.
He's kicked 1-1. You can make that 2-1, and it's taken Adelaide just 1 minute and 10 seconds to post their first goal of the board in the third term.
Why stick to a home loan with a 25-year term when with a Latitude home loan, you can own your home in just 8 short years?
That's more like it's savings and loans.
Planning a new home? Then add a touch of magic with Stratco High Fashion Roofing in Colorbond. The perfect choice for Federation, Contemporary, Colonial, Country or Traditional designs. Stratco Roofing. Insist on it.
Ball's back in the middle of Football Park. Clark will go against White in the ruck contest. Neither ruckman really a run at it. Bickley had it, was tackled when he didn't. And the free kick will go to Liam Shelley. Go against Liam Shelley rather to Bickley.
Just on the ruck work, we know we're experimenting with the wider circle there, which prevents the ruckman from getting a great run up. It has helped them a little bit.
Johnson inside 50. Benke, the little dish off. It ends up with Bode. Screws it around his body. Goes right to the line. Walsh takes the mark, but he was over it. And it was through for a behind.
Yeah, I think it's helped them in preventing injuries, and that's why it was brought in. It's a pretty good outcome, but it looks to have robbed the game of something, and that's the opening bounce and the ruckman coming in and having a fair crack at each other in the air.
So the Demons to bring it straight back up the middle through Wheatley. Goes short and finds Walsh. Wide to Broadbridge. He's kicked partly smothered. Heads towards the line. And in the end, not a bad result, given that ricochet could have gone in any direction, Jared.
Yes, it could have. But the boundary umpire gets another stat.
So another throw in. You see the smother there. And the Broadbridge kick. Ball thrown back into play. Adelaide circling for another goal. Rutten had front position in the contest and will take the free kick. It was held illegally by Jeff White. So Ben Rutten, playing his third Wizard Cup game for the season, kicks towards the top of the goal square. Plenty of players around the ball. Wheatley dives on top of it. Walsh dives on top of him. The umpire no option but to ball it up.
What about you, Kim? Are you in favour of the wider circle? Would you like to see it in the main season?
Well, I can't see that it's added anything at this stage, Jared, to tell the truth. I like yourself. I like to see the two ruckmen running at each other. I think it adds a little bit of excitement and entertainment towards the game. But then again, we're not ruckmen and we're not running into each other every minute of a game.
Anthony McDonald, he's running into something and it's trouble. Got it out to Funk. He's taken into tackle by Burton and the umpire will throw it in.
What I do like, Jared, is the throwing up of the ball around the ground, though. I think it makes the game and the play move on a lot quicker.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So a scrappy opening to this third term. It's Adelaide by 42 points. From the ruck contest, Leoncelli gets his hands on the ball for Melbourne. Kicks towards the boundary line. He was looking for Whelan. Is it out on the full? Yes, it is. So Adelaide get the chance to pump it back inside their 50 and maintain the pressure. There's Andrew McLeod having a breather on the boundary line. Did enough in the first half. Had 9 disposals. Some exciting play. Kicked a goal.
He might have been benched for missing that goal. Nothing more unlikely in football.
We'll check with Dennis Hill, Adelaide's coach for the day, a little later on. It comes off the hands of the pack to Edwards. High up and under snap. And he copped some pressure as he was just putting boot to ball. Sprayed it wide to the right-hand side and it's out of bounds on the full. Funk will take the free kick and we see it on replay there. Just good pressure there from Funk. Created the turnover.
Now, the D's need to set something up. Maybe Andrew Leoncelli can do that. He kicks it along the members' wing. Nice-looking kick. And he's found this impressive Stephen Armstrong, who puts it out towards the half-forward flank. Underneath that is Godfrey. He's thrown into the ground. Wanted a free kick. Prosciutto ruthless with the tackle.
Well, Simon Godfrey showed last year that he is an ordinary character. He's a pest, he's a classic tagger, and he's upsetting Mark Prosciutto at the moment, so we will watch that clash with great interest.
Just having a little niggle again away from the ball. Clark from behind. Tap goes down. Leoncelli is there. A number of players trying to fight for this 50-50 ball, including Nigel Smart. Now picked up by Travis Johnston. Back towards Walsh. Walsh puts it inside 50 to the hot spot, but Adelaide have all the numbers. But, gee, was there a push in the back there? Not paid by the umpire. Melbourne may have been unlucky. Burton streaks away, has no one to kick to, so he goes for the safety of the boundary line.
And Simon Godfrey 2 seconds ago was unceremoniously dumped by Mark Prosciutto. He wasn't pleased with being tackled 15 metres away from the ball. But Godfrey, well, Greg Williams used to tell the taggers, if you're going to scrag, then beware, because you're going to be dealt with severely. And I think Mark Prosciutto has sent the same message.
Yes, he doesn't put up with a lot of fertiliser. The ball goes inside 50. Wheatley has it at the back of the pack. The handball goes over the top to Funk. He was tackled and dispossessed. Bowed in there again. Wheatley has another crack at it. Edwards on top of him. The player looking for a free kick in McDonald managed to extract himself from the pack, got the handball out towards the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in about 50 out on the outer side. 6.5 minutes gone. Adelaide 60 points. The Melbourne Demons 18.
Well, this was a bit like a pinball. A number of players trying to get the ball out. That was a head-high tackle. He played for it, and that's perhaps why he didn't get it awarded by the umpire. But we need somebody to clear this mess, because just getting a touch ugly at the moment.
So White got the tap down to Doughty, but he was tackled by McDonald going nowhere. The umpire will ball it up again. Plenty of players around the ball. Here's Prosciutto. There's Godfrey. Right by him again. Out to Ben Nelson, the former Carlton player, shoots for goal. misses to the near side. One behind to Ben Nelson, his first possession for the afternoon. And Adelaide moved to 9-7-61. A bit of a scuffle on the outer side there. A few tempers just getting heated. 9-7 Adelaide, Melbourne 2-6. The margin 43 points, Jared.
You picked it, Jared. I think Rashudo just put down Godfrey and then Funk got involved.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt that Simon Godfrey is going to, if he continues to do what he's doing, and he does it particularly well, he's going to end up pretty bruised and sorry for himself, all in a legal way, of course.
So that may well be the interest in the second half, just spicing things up a little bit. Simon Godfrey. Johnston kicks it out wide to Armstrong, gathers on the bounce, turns and goes towards half forward. It's a 2-on-1 if Melbourne can keep it in. It's Walsh. Steps around Biglands, then drop the ball. Has support from Jolly. Jolly has time. Tumbles a kick inside 50. It's 2-on-2. At the back is Brad Green for the Demons. He's got 2 to beat as well. Can't pick it up. Bassett in there putting pressure on him. Rutten's in there as well. He's tackled, carried forward in the tackle. And there's a bit of a rugby scrum developing here. Umpire's allowing it to roll on. Clark now to Hart, and eventually, mercifully, it finds the boundary line.
Brad Green, just 9 possessions today. Hasn't been effective on the scoreboard. He's a player with immense talent, but just not finding enough football. And if he's to take the next step and become a class senior player, then he's got to do more work.
So a flock of crows around that ball. Came out to Nigel Smart. Kicks towards the centre of the ground. Nicholson up in front, takes the mark in front of Rutten. So Alistair Nicholson for the Demons. Plenty of crows in Melbourne's inside 50. Decides to kick long. A big pack will form here at centre half forward. Off the hands of Stenglein. I'll try again. It comes out towards Hart. He kicks it out wide. Broadbridge runs away from Welsh. Little handball to Walsh. Walsh will bring it inboard towards the 50. It's set up. Edwards flies over the top and wins the fist down. Then goes and gets his own ball. Well played. Tries to step around Broadbridge. Fends him off. Kicks around his body towards the outer wing. Benke has a man in support. It's Bickley. Releases him now. Bickley will go inside 50. Much more open forward line for Adelaide. Goodwin had it and lost it. Diving in there was Bode. Whelan wraps him up. And the umpire will come in and throw it up.
Simon Goodwin nearly completed that mark. Managed to hold out his opponent. He would have been shooting from 30 metres out. 61 plays 18, nearly 10 minutes gone in the third term. Adelaide got off to a slow start. They led by only 12 points after having the breeze in the first term, but they've gained a little bit of momentum since. As the ball goes out towards the boundary line. Beautiful one-handed pick up by Burton. Kept it in play, or did he? I think the umpire may have been obscured. The crowd loved it, though, because the pass has gone in and found Mark Rashudo. And I would suggest, Jared, that he'd love to bang this one through and then have a quick word to Simon Godfrey.
Yeah, just on Simon Godfrey, as we have a look at the Birdman, just extend the wing to its fullest extremity. Some would have argued a home down decision. Others would have said he got it centimetre perfect. But just on Godfrey, we've got a classic example of why the third umpire, I think, needs to be used a little bit more to protect the ball winner. Simon Godfrey is running in front of Rashudo. He's scragging him. He's taking him away from the footy and he's taking him out of the contest. When the ball's not there within 5 metres, he surely should be getting some free kicks from the third umpire.
Adelaide lead by 43 points. Rashudo has kicked 1 in the first term, which technically was touched. He lines up from 51 out and he's kicked his second.
Right for the bump. There it is. Well, Kim, you said it all. You predicted it, and the bump was duly forthcoming. And, well, we've got a bit of a push and shove. Players just deciding there whether it's going to be a full reward from their payment or whether they're going to donate some to the AFL for wrestling charges.
So a free kick plucked out of all of that. It's going the way of the Demons in the centre, and it's White. So the centre square, well, the centre infringement goes to White. He goes forward to Jolly. Robertson's tackled. Down to Godfrey. Can he return the favour? He snaps at goal. I think he has. This will be interesting. Just goes over to Mark Rashudo and says, anything you can do, I can do too.
is back. Game over.
He's a tough character. The ball back centre field. White is there. Clark picked it up. The handball went out wide. Rashudo picks up another possession. Over towards Doughty. Adelaide inside 50 again. Nicholson spent the first half on the bench. Tried to crash his way through. So does Walsh. Nicholson over the top again. This game has livened up a little bit. So the D's are having a crack, but they're not winning on the scoreboard at the moment. Brian Benke just pulling an opponent out of the pack. And I think at the bottom of that pack was Simon Goodwin. Goodwin, a class act, a dual All-Australian. Will have a bounce down about 35 metres out the right forward pocket, northern end of Football Park. In fact, the throw up, as we do in the Wizard Cup. Umpire nearly got in the way. Oh, Welsh went through strongly. Nicholson did well to ride the bump, and then they're onto him. Well, the free kick goes the way of Melbourne. Wheatley farmed it out towards Brown, and now in turn the ball comes out to David Robbins. Has the luxury of a bounce. It right quick. Oh, got the handball away. White with the football now, goes back infield. They're doing it a little bit hard. Funk with the ball, the former Richmond player. Got it to Travis Johnston, set him up a little bit. Great tackle by Burton and held to him, and rightly so, I think. The crowd not happy, but you'd expect that. They're a smidge biased here at Football Park.
Well, I didn't think there was any prior opportunity. We'll go down to the boundary line and get a feel for the excitement levels down there, because they've certainly found some voice, the Adelaide fans. And, well, they've livened up what could have been a pretty dull second half.
So in the middle of the ground, it's Adelaide by 43 points. Adelaide 10-7-67, Melbourne 3-6-24. We've gone 14 minutes in this third term. The kick from Johnston towards half forward. Players on both sides having to commit themselves. That was Stenglein. Taken down in the tackle. Plenty of players around the football again, as you can see there on your screen. Kane Johnson in there working for Adelaide. A free kick's been plucked out. It's going to the Demons.
Very quickly, Rod, Mark Rashudo off the ground, just getting him out of the hoot of the kitchen and hopefully preventing him from being reported.
Yeah, Jared, looking just to settle him down, I think. Robert Shirley is a renowned tagger, so certainly from that point of view, Gary Ayres has thrown it back to Neil Danaher to make some sort of move now.
So Robbins to White. Be an interesting contest if we put Shirley onto Godfrey. They could tag each other. McDonald will go inside 50. It clears the head of Green to the forward pocket. Tries to soccer it off the ground and hits the post. A flashback to his Manchester United days there. One behind to Brad Green. And the Demons move to 3-7-25. Adelaide at 10-7-67. The margin is 42 points. We've gone 15 minutes in this third term at Football Park.
Ben Hart brought the ball back into play. Found Bickley. Here's a couple of bounces. Beautiful conditions here at Football Park as the ball is put out towards Doughty. It sat nicely on the first bounce. They're inside 50 now, and Goodwin's on the end of it. So they're moving well, Adelaide, and they've got a loose player, and that is Nelson, and he's kicked the goal.
At Doran's Exclusive Furniture, the choice is yours. Why wouldn't you look here first for quality furniture? Doran's have the experience and advice to ensure that your home can look its best. Doran's Exclusive Furniture in the heart of Hyde Park, King William Road.
At SGIC, we assess each home we insure individually, so you won't pay more than you should.
So it's Adelaide by 8 straight goals. Rashudo back onto the ground. Simon Godfrey, not surprisingly, back onto him. It's 11-7-73. Melbourne 3-7-25. 48-point leaders, the Crows. We've gone 16 minutes in this third term. Ball spills out wide towards Tyson Edwards for Adelaide. Kicks towards half forward. On the bounce, it's taken by Benke. By hand to Goodwin. He'll kick it inside 50. There's Burton there. Over the top came Welsh late. Spills to ground level. There's Benke again to follow it up. Right foot shot at goal from Brian Benke. Misses to the far side and through for one behind. So Adelaide's lead extends to 49 points. Adelaide 11-8-74. Melbourne at 3-7-25. We've gone almost 17 minutes in this third term at Football Park. And Adelaide well on their way to a semi-final berth in next weekend's Wizard Cup.
It's looking good at this stage for Adelaide supporters. 16,122 people here at Football Park. A pretty good crowd, not huge, considering the conditions. Broadbridge has the football. That kick was fairly ordinary as he's picked out the big ruckman for Adelaide in Matthew Clark. Had a good season last year, struggled in his first year, put it up looking for big ones, couldn't take the mark, had 2 cracks at it. Burton very good with the handball, out to the runner, Binky, rode the first bump, tried to get the ball over towards Welsh, he can't control it. Over the top there is Woden at ground level, quick handball out to Wheatley, in turn to Funk. He's got some support there, has to go back to Nicholson, in turn out to White, and he should find Armstrong. He does, the ball was touched off the boot. Oh, that's a crude tackle by Doughty. That was a shocker. The umpire had to see that, and the ball will go back. And I'm not sure why Michael Doughty did that. He had Armstrong under a little bit of pressure anyway. Nevertheless, the ball will go back to Armstrong, and have a look at this.
Crude.
To say the least.
Just as bordering on crude.
Armstrong deep in defence. Adelaide 11-8, Melbourne 3-7, 74 plays 25. The ball goes up towards the outer wing. Players set themselves. Over the top was Clark, but a free kick's been picked out. It'll go the way of the D's. Advantage has been paid. Leoncelli gets it over to his teammate in Johnston. Nice looking kick on. Green didn't take it. He's in there trying to butter up, but can't do so. Bassett's been solid this afternoon. Burton's been everywhere. There's another handball. Goes over towards Smart. He loves careering down the middle of any oval, especially Football Park. He's given it to Binky. Let's see what he can do with a kick. Not a good one, and that's a good, strong mark taken there in defence. And that's taken by Whelan.
And down on the boundary line, Tiffany Cherry. Tiff, you wouldn't have had too many experiences at Football Park on that side of the fence, at least anyway. How's it feel down there?
Yeah, actually, I've never been here before, and I have to say it's fantastic ground. But I'll tell you what, it's almost like there's 19 players down here. The crowd is just going wild every time the Adelaide players get the ball. But they're starting to fire up, especially after that Peter Welsh tackle just before.
Tiffany, you wait till you're here when there's 50,000.
I can just imagine it.
It'd be a fair highlight if both Adelaide sides had a showdown in the final of the Wizard Cup.
Be something to look forward to, that's for sure. 49-point lead to Adelaide. 11-8 to 3-7. We've gone almost 20 minutes in this third term. Remembering the Wizard Cup, quarters run 17.5 minutes plus time on as the umpire comes in for yet another ball up.
Of course, Port Adelaide lead the showdowns at the moment by a couple of games, and they love reminding Adelaide supporters about that.
So the Crows have kicked 3-3. Melbourne 1-1 in this term, which has gone almost 20 minutes. Ben Hart for the Crows to Shirley, over the top to Doughty. He's got some space on the outer side. Kicks towards half forward. Armstrong with courage went back with the flight of it. Spills to the back of the contest. Here's Tyson Edwards. Matthew Whelan tries to shut him down. Edwards round onto his left-hand side. Enough pressure there to force the turnover. It came to Nicholson to Leoncelli and into the middle just over the head of White. Coming through was Smart. Didn't take the ball with him though. And Robbins to Woden. Will kick towards half forward. He's got a man in space. It's Bruce. Didn't hit his target. Over the top, he's now got 2 numbers went out there, and Cameron Bruce gets absolutely nailed in the tackle.
Well, that is the classic definition of a gang tackle. One player slowing up Cameron Bruce, the other one just nailing him.
Burton hitting him with a tackle. The ball goes out wide from Bode and finds Doughty on the outer side. It's Adelaide by 49 points, almost 21 minutes gone. Ball comes inboard towards Stenglein, put him under pressure. Shirley tries to tidy it up for Adelaide. He's got a man in support, it's Bode. Went one way and then the other, decides to go out wide. He's got a man on in space if it sits for him. It's Kane Johnson. Gets around, handball to Hart on the overlap. Great run from Ben Hart. Goes inside 50, his target's Welsh. Puts it out in front of his face, beautiful kick. Not much the defender Troy Broadbridge can do about that.
No, that was just magnificent play. In fact, Ben Hart, who's been All-Australian a number of times, he's won the club's best and fairest, a couple of premierships. He has done it all as a club player, and that was just classic Ben Hart, just streaming through the defence to midfield and setting up a forward for a shot at goal.
Welsh kicks his third. Adelaide get their 12th and lead by 55 points.
Here's a plug for Truscott Hi-Fi. And everyone leads to a very special product at a very low price. Yamaha 30-watt CD micro hi-fis reduced $100. LG 68cm stereo teletext TVs $100 off. JVC 200 times digital zoom camcorders $400 off. LG karaoke DVD players save $35. And extremely good Philips 6-head VCRs $40 off. Truscott Hi-Fi, Adelaide's lowest prices with up to 24 months interest-free terms.
Adelaide with a 55-point advantage after Scott Welsh kicked his third goal. And once again, it will be Clark opposed to White. White won the tap, came down to Leoncelli, tried to crash his way through, eventually squeezed the ball out. That went via McDonald, back to White, just outside 50. Armstrong's lurking, picked up well there by Johnston at ground level, got the handball over, and there's an opportunity for Green, but he's just offline. And in fact, the ball has gone through for a point. So the margin back to 54 points. And I mentioned before, Scotty Welsh has looked very good. He's kicked 3 since coming on. Spent the first quarter on the bench. Leading goal kicker for Adelaide in 2000 with 47 goals.
And he did so coming on and off the bench a few times. I thought at times he fell out of favour with the selection panel over here, but he's playing in that position in the forward pocket. You've just got to be given game time. It increases your confidence, and you can kick 2 or 3 goals in a quarter, and you can go missing for a quarter as well. It's that sort of position.
Russell Robertson's been a little bit quiet today. Smart was on his hammer and tack then. There's a clever handball over towards Goodwin. Now puts it up high underneath it there. Trying to take the mark. Kane Johnson couldn't do so. Broadbridge in there. Trying to steal it there was Edwards. Now picked up by Rutten. Back towards Bode. That was possession number 18. Now the D's have the numbers here, but they haven't got the football yet. White very good at ground level. Over the top to Wheatley. In turn to Bruce. Gee, they're still under pressure. Constant harassment as Doughty picks up the football. And Binky says, sorry to Scotty Welsh, I'm going to take this one. And Andrew McLeod's pretty happy about that, just enjoying the sunshine.
He's very relaxed. Good passage of play. There's not a lot of resistance now coming from the Demons. And it's because of incessant tackling by their youngsters here. And Michael Doughty, he just continues to impress. He's good at the 1%ers and he's good at the finishing work as well.
Brian Binky's kicked 2. And has he added to that? I don't think he has. He has, but he wasn't happy with the kick. A wry smile there. Brian Binky kicks his 3rd goal, and Adelaide increased their lead to 60 points.
Well, he was a shade lucky there, Brian, because he got incredibly close to the man on the mark. And Cameron Bruce, well, he's just got to be stay on his feet there. You've got to stay in the contest more. That's a young kid. He's an 18-year-old who's put him out of the play. Let's have a look how close that is. A mongrel. That is the quintessential example of a mongrel that's just snuck through, but there's no column for description.
So the Crows by an even 10 goals. 13-8-86, Melbourne 3-8-26. Approaching 3-quarter time. White had 9 hit-outs in this quarter. Going into the ruck. Plenty of players around the ball. Melbourne will get one last crack at scoring through Armstrong towards half forward. Chance here for Robbins if he can gather. Can he beat the clock? It'll go inside 50. Green's on the lead. He takes the mark right on the 3-quarter time siren. In the toughest pocket of all at Football Park in Dillon.
Well, has been named the Tony Hall pocket after he kicked a miraculous goal in a State of Origin game.
Don't remind me about that.
Sorry, Jared. But they were the days when there wasn't the protection with the super boxes in that right forward pocket. So it's not quite as tough now, but I still don't fancy his chances.
So Green, you can see his angle. He's right on the boundary line. This to reduce the margin to 9 goals. Kick on its way. He's curled it. It's not quite coming around enough and misses to the far side. Through for one behind there to Brad Green. His 2nd for the afternoon. So at 3-quarter time, Adelaide 13-8-86 in complete control of the Demons. 3-9-27. The margin 59 points here at Football Park.
Monday on Adelaide's National 9 News, an exclusive interview with the controversial former Adelaide Festival Artistic Director, Peter Sellers.
I am here, and this is a really deep commitment in my life.
Adelaide's National 9 News, Monday at 6.
Uncle Toby's Muesli Bars with delicious chunky morsels of real fruit and grains. Uncle Toby's Muesli Bars. They're a seriously good munch.
You people are brilliant. Apparently most of you remember who ING are and what they do. So I get to keep the gig. Now I'm supposed to tell you that ING are exceptional at managing and protecting wealth in Australia and right round the world. Exceptional wealth managers. But can they prove it? I suggest you ask your financial advisor about ING. Demand to know. Let's see if they can live up to my commercials.
ING. Investment, superannuation, banking and insurance.
Monday.
He's throwing more money away.
And a current affair exclusive.
I'm just lost for words.
Investors lose the lot, but this failed entrepreneur's still pumping plenty through the pokies.
It's not very smart, is it?
Absolutely not.
Nissan presents A Current Affair. The Wizard Home Loans Cup. Brought to you by Holden and the Air Force.
Lots of hard tackling, lots of heavy bumping. Simon Godfrey certainly livened things up. He got under the skin of the root, and Mark Rashudo put him down in no uncertain terms on a number of occasions. And then everybody jumped in. It was party time. Let's see who can get the humpo-bumpo going the best. And certainly gave us something to get excited about, and everybody here at Footy Park.
So Adelaide's midfield continued to dominate in that third term. Looking at the leading stat getters, Rashudo has 20, Kane Johnson 20. Bode 18 came into the game in that third term. Goodwin has 16, Doty 16 for Melbourne. Travis Johnson 17 possessions. He's shown quite a bit this afternoon.
Yeah, we said about looking for positives for Melbourne at halftime. He is certainly one of them to come out of this match.
Liam Shelley 16. Stephen Armstrong, another positive for the Demons. He's had 14 possessions to three-quarter time. As we look at the match stats, kicks pretty even, marks pretty even. Handballs, again, the disparity there in favour of Adelaide, Jared.
Yeah, but most importantly, down the bottom, inside 50s, the Demons dominated in the first quarter. Adelaide now, with total domination of the third quarter, are well in control in that area.
Let's head down boundary side. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Chris, as forwards coach, you must be devastated to lose Farmer to Fremantle. Who are you looking to fill that void?
Oh, look, we're pretty excited today with young Stevie Armstrong's been fantastic, and we've got Peter Vardy waiting in the wings to come into the team in the next few weeks, so he'll add some energy to our forward line, and I'm sure he'll do a good job.
A lot of their younger players, obviously a little bit devastating in the forward. You're losing Neitz, Schwartz and even Bizzle, but some of the younger players putting their hands up.
Yeah, look, I think the great part about it is that they're getting invaluable experience against some very good players, and they had the same last week against Brisbane, and we've learned a lot about our young players in the last couple of weeks, which will hold us in good stead throughout the season.
And just quickly, Brad Miller, AC joint?
Yeah, very slight, I think. Just heard it there when he went for that mark. I'm sure he'll recover pretty quickly.
All right, good luck. Thanks, Chris.
So final term here at Football Park. It's Adelaide by 59 points. Only one quarter away from a Wizard Cup semi-final against the Tigers next weekend, and it's Mark Rashudo to get the first effective disposal for the last quarter. High kick towards half forward. Out comes Tyson Edwards and takes the mark. So Edwards for Adelaide. He's been busy. His 13th possession this afternoon. Has a man on in space, and that's all too easy. The mark taken by Simon Goodwin.
And just to clarify for the Godfrey family, John Wayne spent his life chasing ornery characters. I wasn't saying ordinary characters, more of the Texan word, the Western, ornery. And he certainly is that. Besides that, he's a tagger.
Well, I'm glad you tidied that up, Jared.
Certainly doing his job this afternoon. In fact, he's still doing it. Goodwin from 48 metres out. Set shot at goal. Not a lot of movement behind the crowd, and that's the reason why. He's missed it to the left-hand side, through for one behind. So the first score of the final term goes to Simon Goodwin, a minor score. And Adelaide extend their lead to 10 straight goals. 13-9-87. Melbourne are 3-9-27. We've gone a minute in the final term at Football Park. Here's Kim Dillon.
As Jason mentioned, the margin 60 points once more. And let's not forget with Melbourne, as Tiffany mentioned, they're minus Schwartz, Neitz, Uze, Vardy and Bizzle, and a few others to boot. So they're pretty undermanned. Jamar was underneath that, the North Adelaide recruit. It was punched away by Clark. The ball comes now out to young Bock, having his first run. He's only a slight lad. And he weighs 80 kilos, 193 centimetres. He's from Woodville, West Torrens, and he also played for the South Australian under-18 side. And there's no doubt that he will bulk up in the next few seasons. The tap goes down from Clark. in there was Armstrong. Tried to get a kick away, couldn't do so. Bock on the end of it. He might get his first possession here. No, couldn't do so. Travis Johnston on the bottom of the pack, and we mentioned before, let's hope he can stay sound. He's a very talented footballer and only managed last year due to injury to play 5 games at pelvis and groin problems. There we see Michael Doughty having a spell on the bench. Been pretty good the last 3 weeks. Jamar won the tap again, but a free kick has been given away.
And it was against Mark Rashudo. Rod Jamison on the boundary line. We saw Rashudo come off for just a split second. I suspect that Gary Ayre said, you're the captain, get your head down and start running and getting a few kicks and forget about the ornery character.
Yes, Gerard, I think you're pretty much right. I mean, he's been around now. That's the sort of role that he plays, and he'll cop a lot of attention throughout the years. So certainly these pre-season games and the season coming up and being the leader, he needs to settle down and just get his eye on the footy because he's too good a player not to.
Well, he fell for the 3-card trick only moments ago. He's in the action again, but the umpire will once again have to ball up, as they have been doing right throughout these Wizard Cup matches. The only time you'll see it bounced is in the centre circle after a goal or at the start of the term. 13-9 plays 3-9. We've had 3 minutes of the final term here at Football Park. Clark won the tap. Leon Celli got the kick away. Comes down to Russell Robertson. Stengline's a tough opponent to beat. Picked up by Goodwin. Goodwin now puts the ball centre field. Woden is there. Should be the first player to grab it. Clever little handball back to a teammate there in Funk, the former Richmond player. He uses the run provided by Matthew Whelan. Let's see if they can set something up here. They've got the sit back in the square, and the mark's been taken by Brad Green. Well, the advantage of getting the ball in quickly.
And a good grab running with the flight of the ball. There were 2 Melbourne players, and he just comes back with the ball, gets the set. Brilliant mark. I thought it was the bloke in front.
I think you were right.
Yep. Brad Green, he could have claimed it as himself, but Russell Robinson, he likes a goal as much as anybody, and he had first claims on it.
He's a spectacular player. Won the Best Clubman Award for the Melbourne side in 2001. Has kicked 117 goals, 87 in his career in premiership matches. But he hasn't kicked one today. He's only managed 1 point. He lines up from 15 metres out and he bangs it through.
Footy fans, if you have the passion, we have the power. The power needs you to cheer them to victory in 2002, and the smartest way to do it is with a season ticket. Prices start at $110 for adults and $39 for children for 11 home games, including Showdown 12. For all inquiries and to get the best deal for you and your family, ring the Power Hotline now on 8447 9900. Don't waste your passion. See the game live. Ring 8447 9900 now.
So Melbourne trailing by 54 points. Early stages, almost 5 minutes gone in this final term. Adelaide to go forward again towards centre half forward. Out in the lead is Binky, and he takes the mark uncontested. The Crows with the centre break. Pretty clean possession. Binky led out where every good forward should be and took a pretty simple mark.
And a ruck change occurring down there, Rod.
Yes, Matty Clark's come off. He's rucked most of the day and has done reasonably well. Ben Marsh coming on for his first run.
So Brian Benke has been busy up forward this afternoon. He's kicked 3 goals, 1. Kick on its way, going for his 4th. Looks to have swung to the left-hand side. But it's enough. It's a goal. Again, his body language, Gerard, wasn't great off the boot. He didn't like the kick. But that's 2 in a row now that he probably hasn't caught quite flush, but they've both gone through.
Yeah, this was a disappointing one as far as the Melbourne side was concerned. Goodwin got it out pretty cleanly, and then a couple of Melbourne supporters just looked instead of being involved in the contest. And despite having, if you have your man in control, you can still be responsible for the drop of the ball. And it's, I reckon, one that Neil Danaher will address during the week.
6 minutes into the final term, and it's Adelaide by 10 goals, a 60-point advantage, 14-9 to 4-9. And Benny Marsh gets to have a crack at young Mark Jamar. Originally from North Adelaide in the SANFL. Not sure who got that one, but it came down towards Ben Nelson. Nelson couldn't control it. Loose ball comes out. Crow having a run as well. He's given away a free kick. And the free kick will go the way of the big chap, Mark Jamar. Recruited from North Adelaide, originally from Port Pirie, northern country town in South Australia. And he's got the ball over towards Stephen Armstrong, one of his close mates that he's made since moving over to Melbourne. And the D's go forward. They're just inside 50. They'll need some support, and it comes in the form of Whelan. He just goes backwards there for a while, then chips around his body on the left, and he's found Green, who takes a good diving mark. But I would suggest just a smidge too far out to score.
We saw some good hands there from Luke Molan. Jared, the #1 draft pick, got his first touch in the game, gathered cleanly, kept his head and dished out a handball.
Would have liked to see a bit more of him today, but no doubt he will get his opportunities.
Well, Green fancies himself. He's about to have a crack, but he'll have to kick from 55. Members side, half forward flank. Very congested inside their 50. So he's committed to kicking for goal, and he's put it up towards the head of the square. A number of players go up. Trying to crash his way through was Robbins. Got the handball over the top to Travis Johnston. Had a mid-air shot, and he's managed to point out of that. So the margin back to 59.
Down on the boundary line, Tiff, you would have seen Ross Funk come from the ground. He was one of those players that perhaps could have gone for that loose ball in the back line. Did he come from the ground and go to the phone?
He certainly did. He went straight to the phone and just had a few words with Danaher. He's now just sitting on the boundary line and watching the game.
So it's 59 points the margin. We've gone 8 minutes in this final term. Adelaide in control here at Football Park. Goodwin gets it out of traffic to Johnson, to Nelson. Kick wasn't great off the boot, but Rutten was playing in front. Dished out a handball backwards to Marsh. They've got some numbers out on the outer side here. The ball comes to Goodwin from Johnson. He has a bounce. He runs to 55. He runs to the 50 now. Kicks towards the goal spot. So Brian Becky, he's kicked 4 goals, 1 for the afternoon. And a chance to add his 5th here. It's been a pretty handy day for him. 12 possessions, 5 marks, 4 goals, 1. That was a very, very clever mark.
Well, that's his great strength. Conversion perhaps needs to improve, but that was a sit-up, and he did it well.
Hey, you haven't seen anything until you've seen Kelvinator at Keith Bowden Electrical. Like the incredible Kelvinator Opal Series refrigerators with smooth contemporary lines, unique sensor flow no-frost system, and lots of fantastic features. And just wait till you hear the price from Keith Bowden, only...
At Keith Bowden Electrical, we never advertise price.
You keep coming back. Keep coming back.
99 plays 34 after Brian Binky's 5th goal. 5-1 for the afternoon. In underneath his Marsh. Stood his ground, didn't get off the ground, but managed to get it down towards Tyson Edwards. He arcs around onto the left boot and looks for Marsh again. That was wasn't really the old 1-2, but it nearly happened. Now it comes to Burton. Weaves a little bit of magic. Inside 50 again. Rashudo just lurking. Maybe playing out a full forward now. Gets the ball back and lining up there and having a shot is Rutten. And I think he has kicked his 2nd goal for the game. He has. Well, it's party time for Adelaide now. This is a very handy advantage. Melbourne 4-10-34. Adelaide 16-9-105.
Yeah, just a training drill now, and Gary Ayres, he'll be just hoping that they can complete this last quarter, maintaining the disciplines and the strategies that he's put in place. They're having a field day up forward. The defence not getting all that much of a workout just at the moment. But Mark Rashudo, as you said, Kim, is playing now from the square. And he's probably got Simon Godfrey in a position where he's going to be most exposed.
So the margin now out to 71 points. If the floodgates haven't opened, the rivets are starting to at least pop off the dam wall, I'd suggest. Comes out to Welsh. To Bock. Towards half forward. Chance here for Adelaide again at the fall of the ball. It's Goodwin. Sweeps the handball inside. They're lining up the moment. Here's Bock from 50. Goes short. And the mark is taken by Bode. Signs not good for the Demons here. We could be looking at a 100-point ball game, Jared, if things don't tighten up through the midfield.
Yeah, but in effect, the scoreline is irrelevant now for both of these sides. The Crows are into the final. Melbourne are just trialling some kids, but I guess of concern from Neil Danaher would be that a number of his senior players just haven't been involved in this last quarter, haven't been involved too much in the last half. But it's really been like holding back the tide. They do need a bit more strength around the ground and need a few more their more experienced players to help them out.
So Matthew Bode, his 19th possession for the afternoon, has been impressive. Kick on its way. Beautiful kick straight through the middle for another one to Adelaide.
Anglicare. Celebrate families with us.
12-minute mark of the final term, 111 opposed to 34. The margin now 71 points as the D's go forward through Travis Johnston, and Robertson takes the mark, but it doesn't matter because he disposed of Tyson Stenglein illegally. The boy recruited from Subiaco pops it over towards Nelson. Nelson in turn to Kane Johnson as they go up the centre corridor. At the bottom of the pack there is Bode, possession number 20. Tried to get it over towards Welsh. It wasn't effective. Whelan crashed his way through. Tried it the second time. The umpire said, sorry, that's holding the ball. And will the advantage be paid? No, it will go back.
Well, it was a great gang tackle. One man will come up with an effective tackle count in Kane Johnson, but 4 players were involved in establishing the count.
Possession number 25 for Kane Johnson. Got it out to Marsh, and another mark's been taken out there. And underneath it is Benke just having a word there to Alistair Nicholson. Well, it's been played with some passion. Now, what do you think they're saying here, Jared?
I'll see you at Sammy's for dinner tonight.
Sammy's on the marina. Benke lining up for goal number 6. Tough angle, this one. Nearly the 14-minute mark of the final term. Brian Benke has kicked 5. Make that 6.
Three goals in the final term to Brian Benke, 6 for the afternoon. And Adelaide extend their lead now to 83 points. We've gone 14 minutes in this final quarter at Football Park. And as I mentioned moments ago, Jared, for Brian Benke to come away with a 6-goal haul, It may be a Wizard Cup game, but still great for the confidence.
Confidence just goes skyrocketing. Not just his confidence, but also the coaching panel's confidence in him.
So Benke with 6 goals. That last one flew off the boot, as true as you like. A couple of them maybe not so good, but that one he was pretty happy with it. Let's go down to the boundary. Tiffany Cherry.
Yes, Matthew Whelan's just come off. It looks like he's injured his ankle. They've just applied ice to him, but obviously he's not going to have any impact on the game, nor is Melbourne at this stage.
So the ball in the defensive 50 for Adelaide. They'll clear through Bock. Comes towards the wing. Broadbridge stands under it for the Demons. But out of the contest, seemingly, was Scott Welsh. Judged it beautifully, took the mark. Bock runs on. Good play from the youngster. Spears it inside 50 to another youngster, Rutten. 1 grab, 2 grabs. Couldn't take the mark. Bode crashes through for Adelaide. Players around the football now are Melbourne. And it is Walsh. Will take it to the outer side. Looking for Robbins. The ball sits for him. Tries to get around Shirley. Just screws it across his body. Set it up a little bit for Armstrong. That allowed Nelson to come in and affect the spoil. A free kick's been picked out. It's going Adelaide's way for too high.
Ben Marsh, I've kept a close eye on him. We saw him get his premiership medal under Malcolm Blight. He's just got so much ability. Where's he at right at the moment in his career?
Well, I think he's at the crossroads. He really does have to have a big year. Obviously, he's going to be the backup to Matthew Clark. You'd like to see him do a bit more up forward, and that's his only option, is talking about being up forward. Rashido's taken a mark, and he's taken that only about 35 metres out. But you're right, Jared. He promises so much. He looks good. He's mobile for a big man, and yet he can often make a lot of mistakes, tends to drop a lot of easy marks, but a lot of ability, and I would say that this year is the make or break year.
There's just so much to like about him. I've seen him go forward, and he's still just a young man. Many years ago, truisms in footy were rife, and one of them was that big blokes take a lot longer to develop than others. You just hope that the club will persevere, but he's got to come to the party. Attitude's got to be spot on.
And he did miss a year with a knee reconstruction.
Sure.
Rashido, kick at goal. Disappointing finish after a very strong mark. He's missed it to the far side, and it's through for 1 behind. So 2 goals, 1 to Mark Rashido this afternoon.
There's been a lot of scrubbers down at that end of the ground. The ball just isn't coming off the boot. Speaking of Malcolm Blight, maybe it's one of Malcolm's lopsided footballs they're using out there with the stitching.
Well, there's the man you've been talking about.
Takes the big fly, takes the mark, gives it to Crowell from 48 metres out to put it straight back over the goal. Umpire's head, he does.
The
Bargains don't get hotter than this at Harris Scarf, with a massive 10 to 50% off absolutely everything in this catalogue. Kathy Marnie bed linen save up to 40%. Dry Glow bath towels are up to 50% off. This Arco Steel knife block set is 42% off. Tough Steel Ultimate Cook sets are 42% off. Sunbeam Sandwich Grill save 40%. And Men's Feeler Fly Plus runners are 45% off. Plus much, much more. Get a sizzling 10 to 50% off everything in this catalogue, but only while stocks last at the new Harris Scarf.
So the margin out to 90 points, 15 straight goals. Adelaide 19-10, Melbourne 4-10. Crowell with his first goal for the afternoon. You just get the feeling Adelaide are probably looking at that 100-point margin at the moment. That might well be the target they're setting themselves for. We've gone 17.5 minutes, so we're now into time on in this final term at Football Park. And as I say, the margin currently sits at 90 points.
And just getting back to Ben Marsh, you mentioned that the big men sometimes take a little bit longer. He's now played 40 games, Jared, so he should be starting to believe in himself.
Crows get use of it again through Goodwin. Inside 50, Benke on the lead. He's having a day out in this last quarter. Rashudo at the back, taken forward in the tackle by Godfrey. Melbourne through Nathan Brown to relieve. Towards the centre of the ground, looking for and finding Stephen Armstrong. Impressive performance from him, his 16th possession this afternoon. Armstrong straight up the middle. And the mark there is taken by Michael Clark. Clark's got a man running wide from it's Brown. Good running from Nathan Brown. He took the ball at half back, Jared, and just worked hard down the outer side. Now has a shot on goal.
That's what he is. He's a worker. He's a... you wouldn't say he's a polished performer just at the moment, but he's a hard nut. He works his backside off, and he's the sort of bloke you can slot into a role, and you just know that he's going to give it his absolute best. And he's one that Neil Danaher, I reckon, has penciled in for a big future at Melbourne.
So he's already kicked one goal. It was in the first quarter this afternoon. Kick on its way, launches into it. But he misses to the right-hand side, through for one behind to Nathan Brown. 1-1 for him this afternoon, and Melbourne move along to 4:11:35. Adelaide at 19-10, 124. We've gone 19 minutes in the final term.
As Bassett brought the ball back into play, he found Hart, but his kick went over the head of a number of players. But a free kick's been given. It's against Broadbridge, and it will be taken by Crowell. The man that kicked the last goal for the Adelaide Crows, and there's a 50-metre penalty as well. 124 plays 35, and Crowell want to get this in quickly to Benke, and Benke will want a piece of this. He's kicked 6-3 in the last term. The ball goes in the direction of Rashudo, calls out Burton, and Burton wisely steps aside. And Rashudo plays on. Loose man is Marsh, and he dropped that one. So he took the specky and dropped the easier mark. The ball comes down to ground level. Nelson paddling it forward, kept it in play. Marsh underneath it, shrugged the tackle, got it back to Benke. Can he kick goal number 7? Not with that one. And the ball out of play.
If we had have started the day and we said that Adelaide were going to kick 20-plus goals, you would have thought that Brett Burton would have played a major part in it, yet he's yet to open his account. He certainly had a number of assists up forward, but hasn't got one himself.
He's done a lot of work down the ground as well. The ball at ground level, picked up by... You've got the Midas touch at the moment, Jared. No, the whistle has sounded as Burton was about to snap towards goal. 20-minute mark, final term. 4:11 plays 19-10, and it's going to be a big game next week when Adelaide take on Richmond in the semi-final. The umpire to throw the ball up. Rutten to do the ruck work. He's opposed to Jolly. Loose ball. Rutten in there again. Picked up by Jolly. Big fella did it well. Threw it onto the right boot. Underneath that was Bode. Woden. Good tackle by Welsh. Loose ball comes out to Peter Walsh. Went back onto the right foot. Kicked around his body. Armstrong. He's been impressive. He's been the highlight for the Demons today, no doubt about that. Walsh again goes in towards Alistair Nicholson, who plays on with a quick handball.
So the high up and under from Robbins towards the wing on the outer side, but it's all Adelaide. And there's Scotty Welsh to take the mark. Wants to swing it wide. Got men in space. One of them's Tyson Edwards, just inside the boundary line. Tried to step around Robbins, brings it inboard. Nathan Brown goes back with courage, but Burton judged it the better. Play on's the call. Welsh butters up for another possession, takes it inside 50 and puts it onto the chest of Mark Rashudo. 26 possession for Mark Rashudo coming up. He's kicked 2 goals, 1. And Adelaide fans would be just licking their lips at the form of Mark Rashudo in the pre-season, Jared.
Oh, I think so. I think we all love to see him playing well. He's an exciting player, and he plays it hard. He plays it tough, and he's just a you know, he's a real entertainer because he kicks the ball long. He delivers plenty of hard knocks, and he's going to be a great captain, I'm sure, of this club for many years.
27 goals last year in 2001. Finished 9th in the best and fairest, averaging 20 possessions a game. Prosciutto from just inside the 50. Kicks across the face. Crowell will go the big fly and takes the mark. He had to sit on that pack beautifully, judged it well. But you can see his angle there, it's pretty tight. He's looking to give it off. The Melbourne defenders aware of that. They're trying to crowd the space, rather.
Well, he looked like he ran off the line, but the umpire's given him the benefit of the doubt, and he'll probably go the banana.
So when he comes, only about 10 metres out from goal, runs around. There is the banana. Kick on its way. It looks pretty good off the boot. He likes it. Adelaide have their 20th goal. So Crowell kicks his second. And the Crows' lead extends to 95 points. It's been a dominant last quarter. They've kicked 7 goals to Melbourne's 1 goal to.
Big fly. Mark Prosciutto will have to check his grip or his boot polish or something, because a couple have slid off the side of the boot, and it set Crowell up. And a pretty good exhibition there of the banana.
Adelaide by 95 points. The Demons would like this to be all over. Marsh gets up high. The ball comes down in the direction of young Bock. He couldn't take it. Players working hard. The umpire blows the whistle, and we'll have a bounce down on that outer side.
And if you have just joined the coverage, the Crows completely in control. They're giving Melbourne a fair old belting, and they're doing so with Andrew McLeod, who's just resting on the sidelines as he has done since half-time.
Yes, he's been soaking up a little bit of sun. Welsh in there. Trying to do the tackling was McDonald, picked up by Bock. Playing his first quarter of senior football. The ball at the back of the pack. Broadbridge has an opportunity. He was the most improved player for the D's, and he's thrown that one. Advantage has been paid. That was dropping the ball. Little Bode has the football. The handball goes over the top to Rutten. Tried to sell the dummy. It now goes back to Bode. Good vision to find Simon Goodwin. The advantage is 95 points. I've got a feeling it'll be 3 figures after this kick. And Goodwin has been good today. This will be disposal number 25.
And certainly drew the approval, I think, of Andrew McLeod. He was more than impressed with that. And I'll tell you what, the Crows have found a player, Matthew Bode. He started off with Port Power, and he has been most impressive this season.
Goodwin lines up to make the margin 101 points, and he has.
So the Crows raise the bat here at Football Park. The margin out to 101 points. Adelaide 21-10, 136. Melbourne a 4-11-35. We've just ticked over 25 minutes in the final term. And Matthew Bode, you mentioned, Jared, 22 possessions. He's taken the ball inside 50 on 5 occasions and kicked a goal himself.
Yeah, he's been a star. He was very close to best on ground, if not best on ground, up in Brisbane. I didn't see the match last week against St Kilda, but he's had pretty fair form.
Last week, 9 possessions and a goal for Matthew Bode.
I've seen both of his good ones.
Edwards. Adelaide aren't finished yet, finishing very hungrily. The ball towards half forward. Wheatley in there working for Melbourne. Crowell's on the bottom of the pack. Farms it out to Rutten. Chance here for Goodwin. Is there time for one more goal for Adelaide? Edwards goes inboard. Bode, the target, stands tall and takes the mark despite some physical pressure from Funk. Handball out to Marsh. From 55, he'll unload. Let's watch it ride. It's held up in the breeze. It'll go to the goal square. Pack flies.
He's got it. Binky.
Guess who? Just to put a bow on, a perfect day for Brian Binky. He's kicked 6 goals, 1. And a chance to kick his 7th as we approach the final siren.
That's classic Binky. He's like Inspector Gadget. He's got those extendable arms, and he plucked it nicely.
8 marks for Brian Binky. 7 goals, 1. In a very promising performance. And Adelaide extend their lead to 107 points.
And speaking of impressive, Kim, just getting back to Ben Rutten, we saw him early in the piece, and I reckon you can tell a hell of a lot about a bloke when he handballs. He was so sure. He was involved in the build-up to this goal that we're seeing from Binky, but he just picked it up and instinctively he gave it out. He's got good peripheral vision, and for a big bloke, it's a rare commodity.
It looks like he could be a handy pickup, and Well, the bottom line is Rutten and Bock can only improve. Only 18 years of age. But I like what you said about Matthew Bode. He was most unlucky last year after coming over from Port Adelaide. He broke his hand in round 2 and he had a couple of soft tissue injuries and just only played the 1 game last year. But I saw him absolutely destroy Geelong at Shell Stadium when he was playing for Port Adelaide in the year 2000. There's the siren sounds here to end what's been a pretty one-sided affair, or a very one-sided affair. Adelaide 22-10, 142. Melbourne 4-11, 35, and 16,122 people witnessed this game.
So Binky, the star up forward for Adelaide. He finished with 7 goals, 1 for the afternoon. 3 goals to Scott Welsh, 2 apiece to Crowell, Risciuto and Ben Rutten, the young man we were just speaking of. Singles to Goodwin, Bickley, McLeod, Bode, Edwards and Nelson. For the Demons was all single goal kickers. Robertson, Nathan Brown, Simon Godfrey and Peter Walsh. Adelaide 22 goals, 12, 142. Melbourne 4-11, 35. The margin 107 points.
Well, it's been a great display by the Crows, and they move into a semi-final along with their cross-town rivals Port Adelaide. The Crows, of course, will take on the Tigers. We're yet to find out who Port Adelaide plays, but it's going to be a pretty fair year if you're an Adelaide Crow supporter or Port Adelaide supporter, I think, Kim, and lots of excitement to look forward to in Adelaide as far as AFL footy concerned this year.
No doubt about that, but I think Port Adelaide a little better balanced than Adelaide at the moment. They're a little stronger in defence and a little more structured and potent up forward, but Adelaide certainly some great sides. We know that they're tremendous in the midfield. They go inside 50. Well, there's only one side that went in more frequently, and that was Brisbane by only 1 time. As we go down to Rod Jamieson on the boundary now with the man of the moment, Brian Binky.
Thanks, Kim. Yes, I have Brian Binky with me. He kicked 7 goals today and had 8 marks. And Brian, good solid day up forward. I guess in the second half, the first half took a little while to get going.
Yeah, I sort of took a while to get my legs in the first half today for some reason, whether it was the hot conditions last week or what it was. But finished off with 7's nice going into next week. And we set ourselves a target. We've only sort of been playing a half of footy the last couple of weeks. We set ourselves a target of 3 quarters this week, and we achieved that and then pushed on and ended up probably playing good 4 quarters.
I guess the rotational options you have up there in yourself. Brett Burton as well. Daniel Schell wasn't playing today, but certainly then the taller options you have too. You've got a real opportunity to rotate, and they're all leading players.
Yeah, for sure. We've sort of got a structure worked out where, you know, there's sort of 3 or 4 sort of players that can come and change those positions. And with Roo dropping back there in the last quarter as well, I think he kicked a couple there, so I finished off well.
Brian, well done today. Good luck next week against Richmond.
Thanks, Gemma.
So Rod Jamieson down with the man of the moment, Brian Binky, who kicked 7 goals, 4 of those in the last quarter. And if we check the leading stat getters for both sides, Mark Risciuto 27, Kane Johnson 26, Goodwin 26, Matthew Bode, who was impressive with 23, whilst for the Demons, Travis Johnston finished with 19, Liam Shelley 17, and a big positive for Melbourne, Jared Healy, was Stephen Armstrong 17 possessions.
Yeah, I like the look of him. He's a very talented player, but let's go back down to the boundary line. Tiffany Cherry.
Yes, Jared. Well, apart from some wounded confidence after that hiding, the only real problem for Demons was Brad Miller, the young 18-year-old who played up forward last week, kicked 2 goals. He came off in the first quarter with what looked to be a subluxed AC joint, so that's probably about 2 to 4 weeks. But apart from that, nothing more to report from Melbourne.
Yeah, they'll be pretty devastated. The Demons, it was one they had to endure. They came over here with a depleted side, so there were always a chance to get a flogging, and it was duly handed out by the home side.
So Neil Danaher with his younger players, Jared, I guess you would say, let's close the book on that one. That's a chapter. We've now got a couple of practice matches before the season starts to build a bit of confidence and momentum again. We'll get some senior players back. We'll get a little bit more structure in the side. Let's put it behind us.
Well, you can put the result behind it. That's fine. But you get the tape out and you use this as a learning experience. They're up against a top quality side with most of their star players in and firing, and there were some young kids there that have realised where the standard is. If they're to be competitive at this level, they've just got to keep getting and working and getting better. And even some of their mid-range 3- and 4-year players that have had some experience now. I talk of Bruce and Brad Green. Travis Johnson was good today. All the W's, Peter Walsh, Matt Whelan and Paul Wheatley, they can all improve. Ross Funk got dragged for disciplinary reason. He needs to do some more. And Alistair Nicholson, just one of a group of 3- and 4-year players that can get better.
This weather update is brought to you by new Grapefruit Morning Fresh.
Isolated drizzle around the lower southeast overnight and early tomorrow, clearing during the day. The rest of the state also looking really good. Heating up on Tuesday around 32 degrees before a change on Wednesday, back to 27 Thursday at 21 tomorrow. Lovely, 27 degrees.
5:30 weeknights. He's the man with all the questions.
Morning, John. How can I help you? Name me an Aussie game show that starts with P.
It's new, it's exciting, it's a game show for inquiring minds. Join Burjo for Pass the Buck, 5:30 weeknights on 9.
In March 2002, your life will change. Over 10 days, your perspective will shift. What you see, feel, and hear will change the way you think. You will be moved. You will be inspired. You will experience. The Adelaide Festival 2002.
Every year, the Adelaide 500 roars into town. But what happens behind the scenes of the event that has twice won the Avesco Trophy for the Australian Motorsport Event of the Year? Find out more at the WorkCover Industry Series Business Luncheon, the business of motorsport. Special guests are Brad Jones, former Australian touring car champion, Howard Marsden, president of motor racing at Ford, and Tony Cochrane, chairman of Avesco. It's at the Hyatt Regency on Wednesday, 13th of March. Phone 8362 0900 for bookings.
The story to make every woman stop and think. Stevie's dreadful fears about breast cancer.
Is this the day I've had one?
The drastic surgery and the totally unexpected result.
That's going to shock you.
60 Minutes, next.
And welcome back to Football Park, where the Crows have run out victors over Melbourne to the tune of 107 points. Gerard, it was a very convincing margin, 22 goals 10 to Melbourne 4-11.
Well, the Crows couldn't have been more impressive. Led magnificently by Mark Rasciuto, who was spiced up the game in the third quarter thanks to Simon Godfrey, and good on him. It's his job to upset Mark Rasciuto, and he certainly did that. But the Roo came off, had a talk to the coach and went back on and dominated. I thought he was best on the ground. Some other good signs for them. I thought the form of young Ben Rutten was also positive, and their midfield in general, excellent.
And Brian Binky kicking 7 goals.
That is a highlight, Brian. We spoke about him having to improve if the Crows improved, and you can't get a better start to the year than that.
OK, let's take a look at the semi-finals, which will be played next week, and of course Port Adelaide taking on Sydney.
Well, that's a highlight. I think Port Adelaide are the hot side of the competition. They should go on and win the competition, I think, and I've already backed them for the day flag, so let's hope that they can continue their good form.
OK, and the other semi-final match is Adelaide taking on Richmond.
And that's going to be an absolute beauty. Both sides, both teams in good form. Both have set themselves to win the Wizard Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if Adelaide progressed.
And talking about absolute beauties, the Best of the Footy show screens at 9:30 on Thursday night. You can see Sam, Eddie and all their madcap adventures, and of course Trevor Marmalade. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage. It was Adelaide by 107 points. On behalf of Gerard and all our commentators, enjoy the evening on 9.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.
The Wizard Home Loans Cup, brought to you by Holden. Mitre 10. Carlton Draft. The Army. And choose happiness. Choose Cadbury.